Hello and welcome to the SuperShow podcast. Joining me today for the first time, it's 71 episodes, but we've got new people because Jamie and Jonesy, you know what? We don't need them. We now have Jonesy and Jamay. How you doing, fellas?
You had a real opportunity to go way off piste and come up with something really fresh and original, and I'm now Jamay.
And what am I? Jonesy
and Jamay. Yeah.
Okay. We just sound like some weird power couple from the 80s, like that maybe you started a duo band or something. I don't know.
I like it. New wave.
We're like Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I should have said I got in introducing Milli and Vanilli. Can I go
we
again?
Don't sing either.
Nah, who cares? Fellas, it's good to be back. 71 weeks in a row. There you go.
Well, more or less. A few speed bumps along the way, but yeah. So happy to be making my debut, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Glad you guys could finally make it on this podcast. I mean, I've only been trying to get you on here for God knows how long. But anyway, if you are joining us for the very first time, these guys are not new to the podcast. Neither am I. And hopefully neither are you. But if you are new, then welcome. You can watch us on YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or any other major podcasting platform of your choice. Or you can catch us on internet radio. That's right, paisleyradio.com, Thursdays at 10 p.m. Repeats on Mondays. I'm trying to get through this as fast as I can. Can you tell?
I like it.
Yeah. Just a little bit of the radio host. My voice is a little bit screwed up today. My throat is very sore. So if you hear some hacking and coughing, it's one of those.
Can I make a request, Chris?
Please do.
Can you do the rest of all the shit you've got to do, the housekeeping, kind of auctioneer style? Like, here,
God, no, I can't do that, dude. I'd stumble over myself.
Try it for like 5 seconds.
No, dude, I've got asthma, okay? All right, coming up in today's show, we're going to Returnal and Epic versus Apple and Sonya in Discord. But today we're going to be talking about Nintendo to release Game Builder Garage to let beginners have a go at making games on the Nintendo Switch.
You know what? I'm going to put my hands up. It was a bad idea.
That's all on you, dude.
I take full responsibility. I'm sorry, everyone.
Do you know what, though? Chris has got a career as one of those horse race commentators.
Well, that's what Jamie was trying to say, yeah.
Well, I thought he said auctioneer, but I liked it.
Because you get the videos, don't you, of the American guys doing the auction house stuff, the going once, going twice stuff, but they do it almost like to a hip hop beat.
Is it the is it the Simpsons where they've got the one where it's like a sold for a
it's a bit of a trope, isn't it? It's not just Simpsons.
It is.
Yeah.
Quite a few people have done it. Anyway, yes, coming up in today's show, we're going to be talking about Returnal, which is like the hot new PS5 game, Apple versus Epic, and all of the kind of the crazy stuff coming out of that lawsuit, and some interesting Discord news. Hey, guess what? We have a Discord of our own, and you can access it by joining our Patreon for as little as $2. You can get access to our Discord and chat to us. $5 gets you some behind-the-scenes stuff, and other dollars gets you some shout-outs, which we'll get to in a second. But before we do that...
$66 allows you to get on Chris's OnlyFans and see why his throat's so bad.
Oh, my God, dude. Jeez.
Why 66 and not 69?
Yeah,
I was going to say 666, and I thought, that's ludicrous, so I'll just go 66.
But why didn't you say 69?
I should have. I wasn't filthy enough.
It makes me feel better about like messing up my prime opportunity at the start of this podcast.
You're welcome.
That's the current, like, that's the undertone, the theme of this podcast. It's just missed opportunities. Every time there's an opening for a joke.
I kind of feel like it's the theme of the podcast as a whole. Like, on the surface, it could be something pretty good.
Theme.
But as soon as you get into it, it's like, well, it's a little bit shit. But it's
theme of our lives at this stage. Yeah.
At our funerals, what could you say about Chris, Jamie? We all die at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
What can you say about Chris, Jamie, and Jonesy? It was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I'd like to imagine that when we die all together, it'll be like Thelma and Louise style. In a convertible car, holding hands, saying, I love you, off a cliff.
No, see, we can't do that because then there will be nothing left. And we all need coffins, which are our size, so that when people come up, there's like a little one, a wide one, and a normal size one.
I tell you what, Josie, I don't know who's footing the bill for a coffin my size, but I don't think they'll be too happy about it.
That's great. No, well, you see, they're saving money on mine, Jamie. So actually, it's like it all works out.
I've just got this image in the head that there's like this huge hole in the ground that all three of our coffins are going to be into, and like it's Jonesy's family lifting Jonesy's coffin, then it's Chris's family lifting Chris's coffin, and then it's just a huge crane like carrying mine, and my family just standing watching the crane do the heavy lifting. Literally.
Oh my God!
To be fair, they could stack us quite nicely. Couldn't
Oh,
they?
yeah,
Like,
they could.
What if we
stack.
what if we requested a Tetris burial? Like our bodies, our corpses were contorted into Tetris shapes.
Nah,
the
wrong.
Tetraminos.
So what's going to happen is, just a little bit of Nostradamus happening here, right? We're going to die in a plane crash. They're going to take all the bodies from the plane crash, and our last will and testament would say that you have to play Jenga with our coffins.
Right.
Okay, I like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, good.
Just 3-piece Jenga, and they're all
no,
on
because
top
it's
of
the
each-
plane, so it's a plane full of people.
Oh,
Although
I see.
I did like the idea of, as they lower our coffins in, they play the Tetris music as they just crank it up.
No, but it's just a really sad version, and everyone's crying, like violins.
That sounds sick, actually.
That does sound sick. Let's do that.
See, maybe it's not all missed opportunities. Maybe we got some ideas.
Mate, let me
Ideas
tell you.
for how we die, mainly.
Can I tell you what, Jamie? All right, if you put enough pressure on a piece of coal, you get a diamond. Okay,
Is that true?
kind of.
It is.
Yeah.
If we could start a company, a gamer funeral company.
Then why? Hang on a second. No, I've got to rewind a second. That you can buy charcoal at the corner shop down the road. You don't see people squeezing the charcoal.
Do you know how much
Yeah, you
pressure
do.
you need, dude?
Pressure.
And
Squeezing it with your hands.
What if I gave the charcoal a job and made it do 100-hour weeks?
Wow. Under pressure.
Talking about pressure. The pressure thing just reminds me of when Homer Simpson goes to a thing of like how to save money, and he gets told to squeeze every penny, and he squeezes a penny so hard that it goes through his hand and into his bloodstream.
No, the you can tell synthetic diamonds though from real diamonds. That's why they're not worth as much.
Yeah.
Oh, so the ones you make through pressure are not real.
No, they are real, but you can tell because you can tell a synthetic diamond.
It's
So
got-
so you if you
It's got
Jamie,
to
have
do
you
with
never
like the
heard
brilliance
thing?
and stuff, right?
I don't know how they do it, but it must be something to do because they use, was it like the is it like a spectrometer or something? They look at the light diffraction from diamonds. They must
Yeah.
be able to tell some way. But Jamie, have you never heard the thing, going back to funerals, this goes full circle, that you can actually turn people into diamonds?
Mm.
I've never heard that before, no.
'Cause you were, of course, carbon-based. So what they do is they separate all your carbon out, they squash you down, they pressurize you, and they form you into a little stone that you can give to a loved one.
Is there a company
This-
that does this?
I believe there is.
That's
I'm going to
quality.
Google it right now.
This is all news to me. I didn't know things worked that way.
Oh,
I thought the
Mega Mind
diamonds all
idea.
like...
You get them to squeeze you into a little stone that resembles a Tetris piece.
Okay, now we're talking. And you put it on a key ring, and then your loved ones can take it around.
And then
with
it's like, you know, like teenage girls when they've got those like little heart necklaces, but it breaks in half and you give one to your best friend. We'll just be, all three of us will be three different bits of a Tetris.
This
I like that.
this is the
Someone's got to
best
hunt
description.
down. Someone's got to hunt down Steph and kill him and turn him into a Tetris piece as well. So so we have the complete set. But yeah,
No, I think we need all of us. We need to get Steph, Milo, Roche. We need to get everyone turned into Tetris pieces. But look, here you go. So this is a company called Heart in Diamond, Your Everlasting Love Story. And their description is, take a lasting reminder of your loved one with you everywhere you go. Heart in Diamond creates stunningly beautiful diamonds from your loved one's hair or ashes so you can hold on to a special memory of them forever.
hair.
I'd never thought that this was a possibility. Why doesn't everyone do this? People doing
'Cause
boring
it's-
stuff with ashes, like,
it's
I'm going to keep it in
mental.
an urn. Do something
it's
exciting.
mental.
Live a little.
Imagine
Live
like I've handed down this diamond that's come from like my grandmother to my mother, and now I've got it and it's my engagement ring, and you're like, oh, that's a nice family heirloom. Like, yeah, it was my great granddad.
Nah,
It's like,
I'll
what,
tell you
your
what's mental.
granddad's ring? No, it is my granddad.
Tell you what's mental. So my mum's
And his
boyfriend.
ring is in there.
Oh, I mean, technically.
Sorry.
I was going to say, my mum's
Right.
boyfriend really likes animals and nature and stuff like that. And at one point, I don't know if it's still his plan.
Is he a taxidermist?
No,
Right.
no. No, but he was going to do some weird thing where he was buried in the middle of a field, but in like a basket, like a wicker basket that would intentionally disappear. So his
Oh,
body
yeah.
would eventually just like be incorporated into the ground and get eaten by animals and turn into nourishment for plants and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's quite a normal thing. There's also people that want to be.
That's not a normal
it's a
thing.
normal thing,
I want
fellas.
to
It's a
dump a
normal thing.
dead guy into a field.
There's also people that want to be buried like underneath trees or with seeds of a tree so that'll grow out of their body.
Oh, okay. That's someone who's watched The Lion King too many times.
Remember. All right,
We
fellas.
use the circle of life symbol.
fellas,
Everything the
let's-
light touches is a Tetris piece.
if you could go on then, quickly now. If you could pick anything, what would you go for? Do you know what I'd get shot into space if I could pick absolutely anything. I think that'd be
Good
fun.
question.
In a coffin, Star Trek style, where they send you out in a coffin just flying along in space.
I'd like to be preserved. You know, like those saints where they preserve their body, and it's just like then they just put the body on display. They do it a lot in Russia,
okay.
right? Like
That's
Russian,
cool, yeah.
old Russian monarchs and stuff. They're just like
Do they mummify them
up.
first?
Yeah, kind of. Or when they do it in the church and they say, "Oh, this is a saint and his body hasn't decomposed," but there's no mummification process. It's a miracle. I want one of those.
Right. Okay.
Okay. See, I'm kind of torn. I'm tempted now that I've learned all these things about being made into diamonds and stones and things that you could theoretically shape. Tempted to say butt plug.
Wow.
And then,
Wow.
but then the twist is,
Wow.
I don't want it to be like a family, like a kind of a family butt plug that gets passed down from generations, because
Family.
that's kind of strange. I like the idea of just becoming like an anonymous corpse butt plug that gets put on a store shelf somewhere, and some completely stranger, like random person buys it, and it's just you get to see how it changes hands as generations pass on.
Nice.
That's
See
great.
how far it goes.
I like the idea that
really how
well, like-
far it goes.
Well,
All the
like,
way
do you
in, or-
remember the beginning montage of, is it Lord of War, the Nicolas Cage film?
Oh yeah, with the
And you
bullet.
You see the life of the bullet. I want
Oh.
that, but as the POV of my butt plug.
right.
I think I'd rather not
like
watch
it.
that film. Thank you very much.
It's called Lord of Anal, in stores now.
I don't know. I don't know. I could imagine there'll be some dark times.
Oh dearie me, Jonesy. I like that.
But if you see, I think if Jamie were to go first, Chris, I think what you and I should do is we should announce that we're finally making the Jamie body pillow, and we just wrap him in cling film and stuff him inside a pillow, and then sell them. But we actually only ever send out one, and we don't tell the person that Jamie is actually inside.
I would actually like to do the whole torn thing with Jamie's corpse.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's
I
just
can see
slice
that.
them open, clear out a bit of the guts, and then just use them as a nice like blanket.
Get in.
Yeah.
It would be both sizable and warm, I can assure you.
What's the thing they do with lions where they make rugs out of them with their heads?
Oh
still
yeah.
on? Do that with Jamie.
Oh God. Yeah, maybe.
Actually, fellas,
This got weird, didn't it?
We've mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago, but it's going to have to be the Weekend at Bernie's thing.
I'll just keep him alive.
You know, it really
Yeah,
is
and
going to have
propped
to be
up.
Weekend at Bernie's. There you go.
So many options. Let us know in the comments down below what we should do with our corpses and what you're planning on doing too.
Wow. All right, fellas. The first fucking news item in this gaming podcast, if you didn't know, because Nintendo, just out of the blue, have announced a new game. And it's called
Whoa.
Game Builder Garage, to let beginners have a go at making games on the Nintendo Switch. Think Dreams, think Roblox, think Nintendo. That's how they should actually market that game.
Think Dreams thinks Roblox, think Nintendo.
Just reference the competition that did it first.
Yeah.
And have everyone go, oh, so I can go and get that on
Yeah.
the systems immediately.
So this is great. It's basically like teaching kids how to program and stuff in a very Nintendo way. I think it's pretty cool. It releases on June 11th for $30. Fair enough. What's cool about it is you can make your own games. You can share them. If there's some kind of a share function or discovery function like Super Mario Maker, that would be pretty cool. But a lot of people obviously on social media are taking to it and saying, sending out all the memes and saying, well, if Nintendo's not going to make Metroid Prime 4, I'm going to fucking do it using using this thing. It's kind of weird.
The meme that I enjoyed the most was perhaps the awkward moment when Nintendo has to DMCA take down their own game because everyone's making Mario 1-1 in it.
Yeah.
Which, that is an interesting obstacle they're going to have to overcome because everyone fucking makes Mario 1-1 in these games, don't they?
Well, I'm sure that Mario 1-1 will be part of the tutorial, right? It's going to have to be. Sure.
It would be amazing if that wasn't like the first tutorial, right?
Yeah, because that's such a simple, like, hey, here's how you make a sprite or whatever it is, a model, move left and right and jump and, create a pitfall with a death. It'd be interesting to see how deep they go. I know they've shown some footage so far of, like you said, Chris, almost like the node style system where you can link up these boxes so that it's like, hey, left to right movement on the analog stick is attached to or attributed to left to right movement of the character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they simplify that stuff, it could be a fun little tool. Because we mentioned Dreams. I have no experience with Roblox, but Dreams is, if you want to go deep on Dreams, it can be intense.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I wonder just how deep the rabbit hole will go on this one.
Well, this the one thing I like more, like I think that seems better about this is I don't know about Roblox, but about Dreams is the way that this is packaged with like it has lessons that take you through how to make different games and how to utilize nodes. I think so. Dreams does that a bit where it has obviously a bit of a tutorial aspect, but this seems more Nintendo and more user friendly, which I think is going to be great for kids to kind of get into. Because like we're saying, if you can go in and you can make Mario 1-1, then you can go and do that and it's really easy and they walk you through it and then they take you to the next level. It just seems more accessible, which was always a good thing.
Yeah.
Accessibility.
And I guess the other thing is it comes off the news of just what a beast Nintendo Switch has been. Because it sold, what was the number? I don't have it on this document. It was 81.9 or 89.1 million units. Well on its way to hitting 100 million units by the end of this year.
Yeah.
That trajectory is excluding any potential Switch Pro.
They're just about to hit 85 million.
85 million. It's fucking
just shy of 85.
Yeah, there's been some mad numbers coming out of Nintendo. They've had a record sales year in 2020.
Yes.
Mario Kart 8 Ultimate or whatever it's fucking called is still like the top seller of this console generation. It's mad.
And you know what makes it even more mad in some respects is one of the tidbits we found out as a result of the Apple versus Epic lawsuit, not to jump the gun too much, but while Sony and Microsoft still sell consoles at a loss per unit, Nintendo do not. So that's 85 million times profit, which, as my maths is correct, equals more profit.
Professor
good
Jamie
for them.
there,
Good for them. Hey, I did maths A level. I know my shit.
Did I don't think either of you have, but did either of you pick up Snap?
Nah.
No.
No, it's one that I think I might end up picking up for my 5. Well, blimey, he'll be 5 and it's his birthday soon. When he's 5, I might pick it up.
He'll
for
love
his
it, dude.
Birthday.
Because he was already into Pokemon to a certain extent, right? And that's a perfect distillation of like when you're into the Pokemon sort of designs and seeing them in action, and maybe don't care as much for the fighting system or like even the catching or leveling systems. It's just a great way to see more of that world and those interactions.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
With its own kind of challenge, I guess, as well, of the gameplay loop of that game. But yeah, it seems to be doing pretty well as a niche Pokemon title. But yeah,
the reviews were decent.
Yeah, Nintendo just keep on. I guess they keep on banging to their own drum, aren't they? Just like everyone's doing. It's easy to get caught up in the Xboxes and the PlayStations and all of this shit, but Nintendo's just playing fucking 4D chess over here, aren't they?
Totally. And the funny thing is, we're sitting here sort of praising them and looking at the record numbers they're putting up, but they still have a lot of things in their back pocket because of how relatively quiet they've been in the last 12 months. You know, there has been a bit of a shortage of first-party titles that some people have noticed, others less so, and that's because the attachment rate and the staying power of titles like Animal Crossing, for example, last year, are so tremendous and so high that you kind of don't notice as much that they could still release Breath of the Wild 2 at any point, or they could still release Metroid Prime 4. You know, whatever angle you want to take, they have a lot of games waiting.
Yeah, which is kind of like it's a scary thought if their competitors, like, because let's be honest, that Nintendo is not a direct competitor to PlayStation or Xbox, right? They're kind of this ancillary, their own kind of thing. But if they were direct competitors, it's weird to say, but it's true. If they were direct competitors, you'd be looking at that and you'd be thinking, fucking hell, these guys are crushing it. And they haven't even released their 2021 slate.
Yeah.
It's weird because, like you said, they're not competitors, and we're saying like they're playing 4D chess. It's like they're playing a different game. But somehow they managed to just stay out of all of that, and it's like there's this whole gaming industry happening over here, and they're like, "That's fine, you crack on with you. We're over here, so you can do all of that shit, and you can argue about PC, console, whatever. But you also have to have a Switch, and you have to play Nintendo games." And everyone's like, "Yeah, we know." It's like completely separate.
Yeah,
it's very
Fellas,
strange.
you know what? I was doing some house cleaning the other day. Some, tidying up, some spring cleaning, whatever you may want to call it, throwing out some old boxes of shit you don't need. And I came across my box for my 3DS.
Oh,
Okay.
I was an early adopter of the 3DS, so I got it when it was still like overpriced before Iwata took the price cut on his own salary just to kind of justify it all. So I got the ambassador program. Thank you very much. But anyway, and I was just thinking, what a great fucking console that was.
yeah.
So much so actually that I was thinking I should really make a video on it. Make a video in
Oh,
praise
do it,
of
right?
the 3DS. I think so. It's a bit niche. But-
You
I'm
know
trying to
what?
remember which one I even owned. I think I owned the 3DS XL, which was like, wasn't that the same, but it was just slightly bigger? That was it.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
bigger, yeah.
I think it's the first handheld I'd owned from Nintendo since the Game Boy Color.
Oh, right.
Wow. You never owned a Game Boy Advance?
No, I never had an Advance.
I never
Wow.
had an advance. The
No.
last
Really?
the last handheld Game Boy Nintendo I had was straight up Game Boy.
I wonder if that's a
Well-
generational thing, because the GBA was massive for me and my friends at the time.
Yeah. It's
I
a
had
South,
I had
it's a
a
South Africa
PSP.
thing for me, dude. Yeah, I had a
right,
PSP.
yeah.
South Africa
I
thing
had a
for me is
PSP.
difficult to get.
Yeah.
My
I
mum
guess.
actually. Sorry, I was going to say, my mum found her Game Boy a couple of weeks ago. And I went to her
Oh,
house and she was like,
yes.
oh, look what I found, my Game Boy. And she had the magnifying glass
Oh,
light thing that
yes.
slides on the top. And I was like, this is hilarious.
See, I want now. The question I've got there is, what was the game that your mum got with the Game Boy that made her kind of?
Tetris, dude.
Yeah.
Or,
Was
or
it
my-
Tetris?
like my mom
'Cause-
was addicted to Tetris on the Game Boy.
Okay, I was curious because I was going to say the same thing happened with my mum, except it was a DSi and brain training at the time, where brain
Right.
training was the thing that everyone was like, "Oh, what is my brain age? 72? Shit."
Nintendo was so good at that. They're
Yeah.
so smart. Like
Yeah.
they come out of these
And then
games that are just
the
epic.
fucking the Wii bounce board, where all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like, again,
Oh, that,
that
yes.
every now and then they're like, okay, we created a console. Every kid on the planet wants it. How do we make the 40-year-old women want it next? And then they figure
Yeah.
it out.
They did it with
I
Ring
love
Fit
it.
as well, to a lesser degree, I guess, but they had some stock
Yeah.
issues. But yeah,
I love do you know what we should? I'd love to make the meme of Hitler where he's like yelling at everyone and then people change the subtitles.
oh yeah.
I would love to do like a few of those where it's like the the CEO of Sony, of like Microsoft and stuff, and just have them being like, how do Nintendo keep doing this to us? They've just made a fucking board that you
Yeah.
stand on.
And then
It's not
there's the bit where
difficult.
like Hitler calms down. He's like, well, at least their first party titles will get a price drop soon. And actually, it was like, actually, Mein Führer, all the first party titles, they keep their price. And he just goes into another meltdown.
It's crazy. But you know the main factor that made me think that I should make a video on it, besides seeing the box and remembering what a great little console, dudes, it had a little fucking. I know it was like underutilized and it was maybe a little bit underwhelming, but the mere fact that there was a little switch that gave you glasses free 3D is mental.
It's true.
But that's not
Yeah.
what made me want to make the video. What made me want to make the video is I switched on my Switch afterwards, and there's no music on the menus. And I was like, these guys have saved up so much money not having any fucking music on the menus. But then I remembered what fucking bangers the 3DS had. Just sitting there, just fucking how robust that console was without having any single fucking game on it. You know, before you even put in a cartridge.
You're
That
not wrong.
console
Right.
was fucking bomb.com.
Did they still have PictoChat or whatever it was called by then?
No, I don't. Well, they might have.
What's
They
Pic-
had
what's
a they had a
PictoChat?
mail system. They had a mail
Right.
system, and they had you could get the Pokédex, and you could see all Pokemon in 3D, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
free.
that's cool, yeah.
They had
I remember.
they had a 3D video channel where each week they would release free 3D videos.
They
And like,
also had
there was like a Shaun the Sheep fucking thing. It was quality.
They also had an AR thing, didn't they? Because I remember when I got my 3DS, there were these weird cards with question
Yeah.
marks on them, and you'd point the
yeah.
cameras at them, and the models would pop out,
Yes, dude.
and it was all AR. Yeah,
like out of the box, that console was fucking amazing. And I
Yeah.
think like, obviously it sold fucking gangbusters, so it's not like a surprise to anyone that it was a quality console. But I think it's been a long time since it was introduced, right? And I think people are kind of forgetting just how baller
Well,
Nintendo were with that fucking 3DS.
you've made it public now, Chris. So get writing.
yeah, you need to get it done.
Wow, well, there we go. I think in terms of the number of videos that each of us have made for this channel, I think you guys are lagging behind. So,
Yeah, I've got some irons in the fire. I've got some boot boys. Just you wait.
yeah, I've been waiting for 71 episodes so far. So.
One of the things we were obviously talking about the what was it called, Game Maker Garage or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they allow you to use the things like the camera, the motion controllers and stuff to make games with, which I think was really cool.
Yeah.
So it's like you were saying, some of the innovative stuff they have and like the 3D stuff. It's nice that they still that they utilize that and they're going to allow people to play around with that in this new system.
Hallelujah. The second implementation of the IR camera on the fucking Switch's motion controller. It's like the second coming of Christ. What are they doing? Yeah. They're not. I don't understand why they included it in the first place. Why? For Nintendo Labo and in this, it's probably going to be such a niche feature no one's going to use. I just don't understand it.
I don't know. Like, I think some things you put into games consoles and stuff, and people don't really use them. But I like the fact that they try and innovate, even if the innovation goes wrong. Like, I'd rather they did that than they never bothered to put anything.
Okay, but hold on, because they're 2 for 2 on the fucking Switch. Because it's the IR camera, which has no fucking use, and it's the HD Rumble, which even as a first party, no one uses it. But it's not overhyped. It's quality, dude. It is really good.
But you couldn't. I mean, overhyped how much it was going to be used. I think was what I was thinking.
Totally.
But with the Switch, you could make the argument that the form factor itself is an innovation, right?
Yeah,
like removable Joy-Cons and docking and all that stuff. They got that right. Or at least the sales would suggest that. I don't know how many people actually dock and undock their Switch on a regular basis. I feel like people just decide which camp they're going to be in and stick with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I would have been prime example for that, of someone who did that if it wasn't for the fact that I stopped commuting, completely. Because I would have taken it with me, and then my kids play it on the TV, so we would have been doing both.
Yeah.
But no, I don't really undock it at all anymore.
It's a toilet console for me.
Yeah, it is a great.
It's a toilet and bed console.
Yeah, it's my bed console as well.
When you're lying down and you're looking around like this.
Yeah, and then all the blood runs out from your arms. You're like,
and then you got to go like
anything?
Shake out your hands, and then you got to carry on.
Yeah.
Nintendo should make they should make a thing you can lie on that supports you perfectly to hold your Switch, so you can almost like a sun lounger that you can lie on it, and it supports your elbows and your hands, so you can play for hours.
We talked about it before. Someone sent me a link. You can get things that brackets that attach to your bed and have a thing that holds the screen in front of you.
No, so you could right. I forgot
suspend it in front of you. And of course, you could detach the Joy-Cons and just keep them by your side.
But how weird would that be? Like, you're lying down, there's a screen at your face, you got the Joy-Cons, but because you're so lazy, they're down by your waist. Picture the scene.
It's better than when I do it with my phone and then I drop it and it lands directly on my nose. I think I've broken it for about 3. And I'm like, wait, is it bleeding? Am I bleeding?
God, we all know that feeling, don't we? Jeez.
Slams you in the face at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
You know what else slams you in the face at 4 a.m.?
What?
This comment from Valdemar Martinez Jr. Jamie, you were made for this. Your segues are amazing. Obviously referring to when you hosted last week with your amazing segues. So I tried an amazing segue there, but I'm not feeling very well. So you get what you get, all right?
I thought I actually picked this comment, and the reason I picked it was because I thought Jamie does step up to the mark when he hosts, and he does amazing segues. When he hosts.
Jamie's always so hesitant, isn't he? He's like, "Oh, you gotta give me 48 hours notice, and I need green Skittles sent to me ASAP. Otherwise, I can't do it." It's like, dude, you're good at it. Just fucking do it.
No, but this is why I think this is why it is right. It's because every time Jamie hosts, he does a really good job of it. And he does good segues, and he has little fun things to say, and he really steps up. When I stand in and do it, I don't give a shit, and I don't prepare, and I don't think about anything. And then often it starts off with Jamie and you laughing at me, going like, "What are you saying?" And I'm like, "I don't really care."
Because you start it off like, "Hello, you sexy frogs," and we'll be like, "What are you talking what?" But no, listen.
Let me write that down for the next time I host.
Hello, you sexy frogs. I think our fans, at least long-term listeners, would agree that we each bring something different and unique to the table when we host,
most
respectively. But I'm more than happy to relinquish the task, fellas. So take it up. I'll tell you what. Even let's do this. Okay, let's do this. We will ask the listenership to comment on this video down below who they think, Jamie, should be hosting next week's episode, Jamie.
No,
So-
I
Yeah.
don't think I don't.
I think that's
no,
fair. Democracy, it's democracy manifest.
I just always preferred this setup. Maybe it's a familiarity thing. I don't know why.
I like this setup as well.
It's like because it's like
Chris is the host,
yeah.
and then when Chris can't do it for whatever reason, Jamie and I get to go. Oh, maybe I don't know. Should I do
Do you know what
it?
it,
That's
do you know
the
what
way
it is for
works.
me? It's like a sports thing where you got the play-by-play and then you got the color commentator. And I think when Chris is hosting, I feel like I can be the color commentator in that I know that I can go off piste, I can go off course, and Chris has got to rein me back in. And same with when we move on from story to story and so on and so forth. But when you're more conscious that that's your responsibility, then you don't get as much color in there.
But then all you're
I think-
saying is that
can I-
I don't get the opportunity to add color. That's why I have to go off on my weird segments about fucking
No, but you do.
Cheesecake
You still-
Factory.
You still manage to add commentary, even though you do the hosting as well, because
Mate.
it's how you managed to pull that out. Which I struggle to do that. I have to give a shout out though.
You
to one
struggled.
comment.
You struggled to pull out. I can tell, dude. You got two
I
kids.
struggled to pull out.
Wow.
I had to give a shout out to another comment, which was Kerry Baldino said, "Wow, Jonesy was on point. This is from last week. Must be taking a break from the quartering." Do you know what? I haven't watched the quartering for about 3 weeks. And I was like, I'm not really sure what Kerry Baldino is referencing specifically there, but that's kind of scary. That is actually true.
your takes in general are getting better, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what it was? Was that I have to focus in. This is a true. Maybe this is a hack for people
Ooh,
who are
life
like
hack.
me, who are a life hack. If you're like me and you really struggle to focus on stuff, one of my life hacks is I try and sort of submerge myself in something that I want to be doing, like I want to be thinking about. Like if I'm trying to make a video about, for example, one that I haven't finished yet, but let's say Cloud Imperium Games. The way I do it wouldn't be to just research a bit and try and write it. It would be to sort of immerse myself in everything about them and read loads of articles and loads of stories for days.
Take
and
out take out a second mortgage so you can fund them, and yeah, totally.
yeah.
I get you.
But what I've been doing that recently with like fitness stuff. So I've been trying to just focus on like going to the gym and getting fit. So I've been just watching fitness YouTube for like weeks. So I haven't had the time to watch people like the quartering and the other kind of trash.
But that's the crazy thing about the fucking YouTube algorithm, right? As soon as you watch one fucking fitness video, guess what? YouTube automatically thinks that you don't give a shit about any of the other channels that you used to watch. And now it's just going to send you a million fitness channels, which is fine.
But I'm sub to him, so it still tells me to watch them, but I just don't. I'm like, I can't be bothered. And they're all kind of similar. They're all in a vein, aren't they? They're all
Of
like,
course, they're all in the same.
I have
vein.
experienced what Chris is talking about, though, like when you can be almost like obsessive over a certain channel or a creator or a type of video for weeks, and then something happens and the algorithm slips slightly and starts pushing other stuff to you, and you realize that you've gone weeks without watching this thing you used to watch every day.
Totally.
And it's kind of crazy.
No, that does happen for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like when you shop online for something that you need, like let's say a pair of gloves, and then you buy a pair of gloves, but then because all your search history is about a pair of gloves and glove reviews and pictures of glamorous gloves, then all of a sudden all you get sent is like, oh, I heard you're looking for gloves. It's like, yeah, I was looking for gloves. Now I've got gloves. Stop sending me ads for gloves, no matter how sexy they are. Like,
Yeah.
I've never tried it, but I've always wanted to do that thing. I've seen a few people do videos is where they don't search for it, but they just talk about something they would never.
The listening
about.
device.
And then they sort of see if.
Oh, I've lost you, fellas. Oh, there we go. You're back.
See if they get advertising. You're back. There you go. You froze me as well. But yeah, then you see if you get advertising for it. So I think I saw one where someone was talking. They weren't getting married. They'd never talked about it. And then they talked about wedding dresses solidly for like 40 minutes. And sure enough, when they turned maybe it's a fake, but as soon as they turned their phone on, it was like, looking for a wedding dress.
Well, it's like I've got 3
wedding dresses.
I've got 3 wedding dresses because I just can't help myself. They get advertised to me. No, I've got 3 Google speakers in my house. Okay.
Oof.
And those things are always listening, right? Always
Yep.
listening. Always. They've always got it on. So what's going to happen now is after this, I'm going to get ads for gloves. Anyway, fellas,
You will,
how about we talk about something that hopefully if we talk about this, we will get more of them because the algorithm will push stuff our way, right? I'm talking about our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/supershow. These are the ladies and gentlemen who keep the lights on, keep the cameras rolling, and we are forever indebted to them. In fact, the Super Show would be nothing without these people. I am, of course, talking about Aaron Cameron, Athletic Gravy, Hacksaw Book Reed, Javela Cujo, Jesper Camdal Nielsen, Leo Merger, Lonnie Thompson, Magic Grits, Nathan Piers, Pastors Guild, Scary Omen, Starfall Kid, Zach Cream, and then the big boys, Shellshock, Manuel Guerrero, Peaswad, and the Dude Abides. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Guys. Your support goes a hell of a long way. And hey, if your name isn't on that list, but you'd like it to be, head on over to patreon.com/supershow and help the Super Show keep being the Super Show, if you know what I mean.
Every Patreon is another step forward to getting a Jamie body pillow. I'm just going to say
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
One day.
See, it's nice to say one day because we've got until we die in that plane crash that we have to make it happen. So that could be any time, really.
It could be.
The loosest of commitments.
Yeah.
I'll do it when I'm dead, so that I don't have to worry about it.
Wow, do it when you're dead. Speaking about dead and dying, I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls, fellas.
Hell yeah. More streams?
Yes. So how about that for a fucking segue, Valdemar Martinez Jr.?
Classic Chris, making everything in competition.
But yes, more streams, Dark Souls. I had a bit of a tough week because I didn't stream on Friday and I didn't stream on Monday because Monday was a public holiday here and it was Greek Easter over the weekend. So very busy, kind of getting all that shit ready. But yeah, got back to it yesterday at the time of recording, which is the Wednesday, over at twitch.tv/hotpanic. And it's cool. I did well. Still taking me a long time to get back into, every time I stop playing it to get back into it, of reminding myself just how slow paced that game is compared to what I think it is coming off the back of Sekiro. You'd think I'd learn by now, but I obviously haven't. I don't play the game other than when I'm on stream. So to combat that, what I'm going to do is stream on Mondays and Wednesdays to kind of keep the Dark Souls brain going. But I did well, fellas. I beat the Bell Gargoyles, for what it's worth.
Well done. I don't know what they are, but very well done.
Yeah, no, bells for sure.
Bells,
no, for sure. Yeah,
I beat.
Hold on. The Bell Gargoyles, the ones we talked about last time.
I beat the Bell End Gargoyles. Yeah.
The Bell.
Did we talk about?
I don't know if we did talk about the Bell Gargoyles.
We might have, because in my previous stream I just got to them and they absolutely demolished me. So
maybe it wasn't.
The whole premise of this stream was, hey, I'm going to go and try and kill these dudes.
I thought you were fighting a demon last time.
Oh, that was the start. That was the Taurus demon.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's Dark Souls, right? Like, it's like struggle through an area until you get to a boss and struggle through the boss until eventually you beat them. Like, that's, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I get you.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Don't know what else to say about it, really. But I will say that I've also played, not a lot, just one match, in fact, of Apex Season 9. Because when I went to go play, all the servers were kind of screwed. And I did eventually manage to get into one match. Landed down, got the new weapon, which was the bow, and I was not all that impressed, and I died very quickly. Seems cool,
really?
Like it. Yeah, you know what it is? It's I thought it would be like a one-hit wonder, but it's not, and that's on me because maybe I should have practiced.
I think
offline.
it's a fair enough assumption because often in games bows are
hard
right to hit. So it's like if you hit with a bow, it's a one-hit kill.
Yeah, and like I landed in a place where it was like high tier loot. So it's like, okay, maybe it's a high tier loot kind of thing, and it's a one-hit wonder. It doesn't seem to be. It seems like it's got decent what's the word, like a reload rate. It's not as bad as you think it is. And, obviously, the more you hold it back, the more powerful and further it can go. But the thing is, it's relatively silent. And I think that's kind of what it's got going for it. It's like almost if you in a medium range at a secure like location that you could just start potting people and they're not necessarily going to know where it's coming from.
Right.
Okay. That's cool, though. I traditionally very much like bows in games, especially first-person shooters.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but I'm looking forward to getting in some more Apex. It's interesting that this I don't know what it is. It must be the link to Titanfall 2 and Titanfall 2 going on sale on Steam, and then also having their free weekend on Steam. But season 9, for some reason, hugely popular, crashed all the servers, because you would think that going into 8 seasons of it, that they would have got their server issues sorted, and they're not going to be surprised by an influx of players, right? But it fucking happened. So yeah, fair play. It's kind of crazy.
Hey, it's a good problem to have, right? If you're them, it's better to have that than talking about shutting down the servers because no one's playing anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Very good problem to have.
It does feel like there's been a recent surge of buzz just around Apex and Titanfall and that whole shared universe, and it's hard to know specifically what to attribute it to, but it's cool. It's nice to see that Apex is still going strong.
Hell yeah. And you know what? It fucking deserves all the praise it gets. And you know what doesn't get enough praise, fellas, these days? Is snooker. Because I watched the Snooker World Championships. And let me tell you, that's some good TV
You just
right
watched
there.
them?
Yeah.
I saw this in the document. I thought you had played a snooker game. I got all excited.
No, I was watching genuinely the World Championships of snooker. It was great. Really, really good. Like,
well, I mean, hold on, let's not overstate it.
It's
still snooker.
Snooker's a fun game, dude. But it's in that vein
Mark
of like
Selby? Is that
Selby, yeah. You won it for I think the 4th time.
See,
so he's
snooker. I'm all about it.
The snooker brain. I love snooker. When I was young, my parents had a snooker table, not a pool table, full size snooker table.
Wow, that should have. That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, South Africa, you got space. You know, and my grandfather really loved snooker as well, so he used to like teach me all the stuff. I haven't played obviously in years, and I'm not very good at it. Blah blah blah. We used to play some pool every now and then, I guess, on nights out. But yeah, snooker's a fun game, dude. Snooker's really cool. It kind of gets that same itch that I get with watching cricket or golf, where it's like it's a chill time. You know, you're in it for the long haul, and you know, not many surprises, but then some cool shit happens, but it's not high energy. It's nice.
Cricket, I get it, and snooker, I guess, to a certain extent as well, because it's all taking place right in front of you. Yeah. There is an element to golf, which is that I need it to be edited. I need the broadcast package where it comes with golf. I need to be able to jump from hole to hole and from golfer to golfer. I can't like take my chair and be like, I'm going to sit on this green and then just watch this. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can do tennis, right? I can watch that if it pops up and it's like Wimbledon or like the French Open or American Open or something. I can watch a bit of tennis. If I turn the telly on and snooker is on, I'm like, wow. Something else.
I'll tell you what, you can get into snooker quite easily. You know it's really cool, and it happened in this the final. So Selby was playing, and he just other dude, I can't remember, Murphy, I think it was. He breaks the balls, and then Selby's turn to go, and Selby just does not miss a single thing until he finishes the whole table, and the camera keeps on going back to Murphy, and Murphy's just sat there like this, like.
But that, I don't know, it lacks some kind of, like, at least in a game like tennis, every point they fight for. I think the thing about snooker for me is it's just kind of like, you can do a whole frame yourself. You can just go, oh, there we go. And then and it's John Virgo going, oh, he's at a lovely ball there. Oh,
I love it, dude, because it's also so tactical, because it's like not just about potting the balls. It's like where does the white ball go afterwards, right? And if you're not gonna sink a ball, where you're gonna place it to snooker your opponent. I fucking love it, dude. It's so good. It's so good.
Fair enough.
Hell yeah, snooker gang. Give it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to consider myself a part of it just yet, but
and I have a feeling it's going to be a resurgence.
Do you know what? It's good.
I don't think there will be,
but it's no darts. I'll put it that way.
Fair enough.
Darts is
probably because they're all drunk.
Boys, darts is the truth. Trust me. You need to tune in to some darts, especially when social distancing is all over and done with and people are cramming back into the alley pally. Put on some fucking darts. You have a time of your life.
Oh
I would love to see like all the different like the top players from every sport, like little groups of them just clustered together in like a big warehouse, and you've got like the football players, the rugby players, like the gymnast, even the snooker players.
Yeah.
Like everyone's standing around looking like the part, and then the darts players just like an absolute state, just standing there. And just like, what are these guys doing?
Do you know who'd look an absolute state?
They have been drinking down the pub religiously for the last 30 years, and they've got really good at this game. So just give it to them, all right?
First of all, that's a
arm.
very outdated stereotype about darts players. Okay.
Do you know what? The last darts story that I heard that was in the news was about the darts player who farted and then tried to blame it on somebody else.
He was accused of farting, okay, and
he said it wasn't him who farted, it was someone else who farted. And then they got into an argument where he was going, no, it wasn't me, it was him. And he was going, it weren't me, it was him. Like, that's what you need to know about darts.
I mean, he's not wrong,
Imagine
Jamie. He's not
Roger
wrong.
Federer.
This feels like a personal attack.
Roger Federer going, I didn't fart. It was the ball boy, and the ball boy's like, I didn't fart. It was Roger. Like, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, because they play like fucking 30 feet away from each other. The darts, you've got to stand exactly where the other guy was standing just then.
It's a tactic. So what it is it was a tactical grunt.
It's just all the Guinness and the pies that
they don't do that. They're drinking water. Go and watch any darts. They don't drink beer.
I'll never forget there was this one skit. There was a show called Not the 9 O'Clock News with Rowan Atkinson. And one of the skits was like a darts segment that they were covering in the Not the 9 O'Clock News. Close up of the guy's face, and he's looking like sweaty and chubby and fat, and he's getting ready. And he goes like this, and he goes, and his hand, and then the camera goes down, and his hand goes and picks up a drink. He's like, oh, he's gone for the stout there. And he just necks that one.
Oh, I think I've seen.
Yeah,
that.
it's such a good skit. Like, I'm obviously not doing it.
These are dangerous and outdated stereotypes, and I won't stand for it.
Wow, fucking hell.
Darts lives matter. Okay, boys.
It's like that thing, the argument about like where does a game become a sport, isn't it? Because you get that with obviously esports. You get the crossover where people say, like, is chess a game or a sport? It's like, oh, it's a game. Okay, so what about darts? Is darts a game? Because there's a physical component. Like, okay, what about snooker? And then you kind of go down this rabbit hole, and you
Twister.
Get to the point where people Twister's hey,
game or a sport?
Very athletic.
Yeah,
very athletic.
Game or a sport.
But,
wow. Well, talking about esports, Jonesy, I see you've been playing some Warzone. Has Warzone become an esport now, or is it? I don't know. I don't think it has actually. Hey, they don't have a.
I'm sure it has, but not to a degree that anyone cares about.
Have they had a tournament?
There have been lots of tournaments,
They have tournaments. Yeah.
One of the things I'm
not talking like a Twitch Rivals or something, like an actual like you've got COD League, right? Like what's called CDL or whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely been Twitch Rivals. I don't know about anything more elaborate than that.
Yeah.
But I know there's some disagreement over like the way to structure tournaments, because Warzone has this issue where if you get, let's say, 100 really good players and put them in a battle royale against each other, then it actually ends up playing out in a way that's particularly uninteresting for the viewers at home. It's all about camping and sweating and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So what a lot of them do now is this kind of Wild West style approach of everyone loads into matches and you just have to try and get as many kills as you can. And like your top 5 games that you can register in a 2-hour period in terms of kills will be like your score. And then that's how they do it. It's a strange thing. It kind of works,
I guess the weird thing is the spectator aspect of battle royales in general. I know PUBG struggled with it. Fortnite struggled with it. Like, how do you cast a fucking battle royale game with 150 players? Like, it's mad.
Let's go and check back in with FaZe so and so, and yep, he is still prone. He hasn't moved for 5 minutes. He's watching the circle coming in.
I was going to say, in a way, it's almost like more fun because you've got everyone in the tournaments playing each other all at the same time, and then you could have a point system whereby multiple matches happen, and then so it's not like you lose one and you get out. But I was just looking in Gadget. I've got a story from beginning of this year where they're talking about
Engadget. Jesus,
I like how Jonesy doesn't pronounce it like Engadget. He pronounces it like N''Gadget.
Engadget, like the Engage. Jamie, you remember the Engage?
Engage,
like Nduja sausage. Engadget.
There is a pro league. There is a pro league.
There is a pro league on Warzone. Wow, there you go.
Are you in it?
Me, far from it. No, do you know what? The only reason I put Warzone in is because I play Warzone like every week, usually, but I did have a bit of a break for a few weeks. But I came to a decision, boys. about Warzone.
You're gonna
Ooh.
uninstall it and live your best life like I have.
I'm going to uninstall it.
Yes,
But
yes, bro.
But I'm going to uninstall it after I win my first ever battle royale match.
That's
like
fair.
it.
That's fair. You
I'm
see,
gonna play
I
it
can
until
I
I
can
win.
get down with that.
And then as soon as I've won, I'm uninstalling it.
Dude, come over to Apex. Like the amount of wins I've got in Apex over Warzone is ridiculous.
No, I see. I think I'm going to try and pull away from what the type of game Warzone is, but not just Warzone. I'm thinking I might pull away from like Warzone, Rocket League, all those kind of dip in, dip out games because
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm just finding
Oh.
like I spend so much time doing that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go anywhere, and it doesn't. It's kind of you play it until you don't. But actually, I'd rather get more into games with a story, games with a message that I can play and have a good time with.
Yeah.
And dare say complete.
Jonesy,
as opposed to just.
I'm totally there with you, dude. Like when I played that session with Apex trying to get a match, I could have been playing Cyberpunk, and it did actually cross my mind. I was like, I should really dip back into Cyberpunk.
So and exactly. So I've got so many games with good stories that the reason I don't finish them is it's almost like I feel like they're a big challenge to finishing them, and it's weird because dipping back in, it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to get back in. I'm gonna have to play some more. It's you have to be involved with it, but at least you get to the end of the game, you finish it, you feel like you've completed something.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of these sort of perpetual games, they don't really have that element to them.
Yeah.
And actually takes me to the second game that I started playing this week. And the reason I started playing it was because Jamie brought it up last week and reminded me that I very nearly bought it before. After the Steph Murphy, good friend of the channel, started playing it. And
is this the Brazzers game?
This is not. I haven't. I did play more of the Brazzers game.
Of course you did.
I should have. I need to mention that actually because
Did you see the fun bags?
You do I think you do. Well, let me get into that after this.
Okay.
So, Disco Elysium was a game that I nearly picked up when Steph was playing it, and I really liked the look of it. And obviously, we've talked about it before on the channel as well. But then Jamie was playing it and had a really good time with it. And I thought, do you know what? I don't want to play as much Warzone, Rocket League, these sorts of games. I want to play games with a story. I want to get into it. And that sounded like the perfect game to dip into. And I've wanted to play it for a long time. And it had a cheeky little sale on Steam. And I'm really glad I did. It's a fantastic game. As we were talking about last week, the writing is very good. It's a bit much at times. Like the level of just words is, I find myself skipping some things. I'm like, I don't care. And I read through the text before the voice says it, and I just skip. And I'm like, I've read it, skip. And a lot of the dialogue stuff is, you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, I get it. Yeah, oh god, okay. But it's funny, it's interesting. It has some really like good quirkiness to it. The way the characters get developed is a lot of fun. And they've obviously made a kick-ass game with a great story. And you include the role-playing sort of like dice rolling elements into it, and it adds an air of. Because to be fair, that game wouldn't have much challenge if there wasn't the dice rolling element to it and the risk of losing. I think it would be more just like an out-and-out story where you were experiencing a story and going around and doing the case and meeting the people.
Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting.
Really good time.
How long to beat says it'll take an average of 20 hours to finish. I thought it would be much longer than that.
I could imagine that I'll be playing it for like 50 because there's so many things to talk to people and to
completionist runners is at 41 hours.
Okay,
it's not bad.
Yeah, there's a central storyline, that you can follow very closely if you want to, but there's a lot going on in that world, for want of a better way of putting it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was good. Play Disco Elysium, it was wicked. But to go back to the Brazzers game,
God.
Because I must admit, I was like, I don't see the point in this game. It's not a game. There's nothing challenging. It's shit. And they haven't even tried to put an element of, it's I can't remember the name of the company that make the sort of the anime hentai kind of like sexy games on Steam. I can't remember. The ones that make like the honey games and stuff, but whatever. They haven't even done that level of like dirty pictures. They're really shit. But I've figured it out, guys. It's because if you play enough and you unlock certain things, you get slices of Brazzers porn films.
Right, I say, like actual videos.
Yes, so you can effectively, like, one thing will be that you can unlock, say, 10 scenes from a film. When I say scenes, I mean like 30 seconds. So you can play that game
This is
for
weird.
days to do daily challenges to unlock another 30 seconds of a Brazzers porn film. What is the point?
I was about to say there's got to be a better way, but I'll take that back. There are better ways. Like, you just go and find it.
It's bizarre. But then I suppose if you're really hard up for cash and you're like, I've got to see that new Brazzers.
No,
you can
bro,
spend
because
a
like,
month-
okay, here's a life hack. If you really want to watch that one scene and it's behind a paywall, just like Google the name of the movie or whatever they refer to it as, and I guarantee you, if on one of those results on the first page of Google will work.
Jamie is right, but at this point we should say we do not promote the use of copyrighted content, and you shouldn't be doing anything illegal with your time. But if you happen to accidentally find it, then that's not on us. So there you go. But yeah, I find it odd, man. I don't know. Anyway, that was all I wanted to say about that.
Wow.
Weird.
Well, there we go. Jamie, go on. What you must be been playing some interesting stuff, because come on, me watching snooker and Jonesy giving up on Warzone, you got to bring it back for us, buddy.
I'll try and bring it. I can kind of bring it back, but then not in the way I wanted to. Because I played Returnal this past week.
Oh,
So
yeah.
finally, a hot new release and a PlayStation 5 game at that, which is a rarity still to this day. The only issue is it's been a very busy week, and so I've played it twice for about a combined 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, you're letting
I
the
think-
team down, Jamie.
Bro, I mean, we all have weeks like this, right? Where things just don't go away and
Nah, I know.
time doesn't seem to become available, and you think to yourself, hang on a second, just because I'm freelance doesn't mean I don't get weekends. When is my weekend meant to be? And then you're kind of left scratching your head as to why that didn't materialize in the way you wanted it to. But yeah, Returnal. I really like it. I really like it. I wish I could have gone a little bit deeper, because I was saying to you guys midweek when you were asking me about it, it's delivering on all the things it had promised to deliver based on reviews, previews, trailers and so on and so forth. In that I really dig the tone. I think the story setup is very intriguing, because it doesn't seem so far to be quite as cut and dry as it's not like a Groundhog Day, and it doesn't seem to be quite as simple as just a die and come back. There are other caveats to the story that I would like to explore. We've all seen by now that it goes first person at times. It's got some almost PT-esque house moments that I've seen how some of that stuff plays out, but I don't know what the link is to the wider story. Big sort of Prometheus vibes, and a lot of the design of mostly the environment, and then some almost xenomorphy inspiration for the aliens you're fighting in some cases, not all cases. Big Annihilation vibes from the soundtrack. So
okay, well, I'm down for that.
So when that all comes together and you're in the middle of these pretty heated battles, the gameplay feels very fluid, as I'm sure it looks to anyone that's kind of, as I said, caught any of the footage so far. Combine that with the dual sense support, which is really on point. There's a lot of positives. But going back to the thing I said to you guys midweek, the issue is I haven't spent enough time with it yet to know if the problems are going to be problems, if that makes sense. So, lots of people talking about the lack of checkpoints and the lack of autosaves and so on and so forth, and how that affects the flow in terms of, is it feasible to expect people to, say, do a run through biomes 1, 2, and 3, even if you don't have to do the bosses again to get to the first quote-unquote checkpoint in the game? How long do those runs have to be? Is the software and the hardware and the compatibility between the two stable enough to support runs that long, which we'll get into it in a little bit, I'm sure, when we get to the news kind of portion of this. So I haven't been able to explore that, and I still don't know the answer to the big question, which is...
cover it now, dude.
Oh, but I was just going to say, but still speaking on like my experience of the game, I still don't know whether or not it's worth £70 is the main thing I've come away from yet.
Okay.
Like I hope to have a more fleshed out answer to that question by this time next week, but at the moment it's like, I feel like I've barely played this game.
The thing I'm curious about is it a Jamie game? Because on the surface of it, I would say it doesn't seem like a Jamie game.
See, I'm going to throw that back to you. What makes I'm curious. What makes you think it's not a Jamie game?
Challenge.
Sorry, come again?
Oh, do you mean lack? Okay, do you mean lack of challenge, or that it has got challenge?
That it has got challenge. Jamie is a frustrated gamer. I can say that much, and I can say that much without Jamie having to be defensive about it, because he knows it's true.
100% I'm a frustrated gamer, especially in competitive environments. And
Okay,
have I
but
felt
this is not
frustrated?
competitive though. But like seeing you play games like Dark Souls or Bloodstained or Blasphemous or whatever, it's like these harder games do not seem to gel well with your frustrated gamer persona. That's what I'm saying. Like, not necessarily on the roguelite aspects of it, but more a case of like, do you get to a point where there's 500 bullets on the screen and you say, you know what, fuck this game. This is what I'm curious about, where that comes from. So don't get offended when I say challenge, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I guess, do you know what? Like, it's weird because you're right. I have gotten frustrated before with some like Soulsborne games in the past, for example. But I've also sat through and played, what in some corners are considered difficult games, like whether it's the Hotline Miami games or what have you. And I think it depends to what extent death is made to feel like it's a part of the experience.
Right. Yeah.
And lots of people argue that death is a part of the experience in From Software games, and they're right. But for some reason, they always felt a little bit more frustrating to me. It's almost like I know that there are guys out there that stream every single From Software game back to back to back and don't get hit. And so it's a thing of like, fundamentally, you can play these games without getting hit. And when I know that there's that thing in the back of my mind saying, you don't ever have to get touched to beat this game, then I'm like, I suck. I'm not doing well enough. And then then I beat myself up about it. Returnal hasn't quite got to that point yet. I think it might. But it also helped that, like, so my first run kind of ended fairly prematurely. I think I was meant to die, but I can't be sure. Based on the kind of story and tutorializing stuff that happened immediately afterwards. So my first full run, or what I consider full run, I got to the boss of the biome and I got him to his third stage, or whatever you call it. So I felt kind of proud of myself for that, especially considering the run was kind of botched. I had a couple of really bad, I forget what they're called, parasites. Yeah, parasites.
Right.
But honestly, Chris, I don't know yet. I don't know. It's a waiting game. Like, I might come back here next week and say, I never beat the first boss and I gave up and I'm never playing it again. But we'll have to wait and see.
See, I find it's interesting when you were saying about you can't decide whether it's worth full price yet, because I have an issue, and I'm sure that this is with me, not with like the games, but I struggle to see the value in roguelikes anyway, because I know that if I was never going to get out of the first, say, 15 minutes of a game, which this doesn't seem like that kind of roguelike, but it does seem like it is a roguelike. So if I knew I was never going to see past the first 15 minutes, and I know that I'm never going to play a game enough to get past that, then I'm like, well, then it's not worth it to me.
I think there is a difference there, Jonesy, because usually when you talk about roguelikes or roguelites, they are of the indie variety, and they usually cost anywhere between $5 and $25/pounds.
That's true,
but
there have been
very,
some
very
notable
seldom
exceptions to that.
Yeah. But there are very seldom full price games, let alone $70 games.
What do you guys think was the last like full price roguelite? Because nothing comes to mind for me.
I can't remember how much
Hades.
was Dead Cells.
How much was Hades? No, Dead Cells was cheap.
Hades and Dead Cells were both not full price.
It's interesting. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know.
I can't think of what it would be.
Spelunky, obviously, not full price. Slay the Spire, not full price. Enter the Gungeon, Binding of Isaac, Rogue Legacy, Crypt of the Necrodancer, Nuclear Throne.
This makes me happy, though. Like, definitely mainstream roguelite elements into more AAA titles, I would say. Okay, fine. Returnal's not necessarily strictly AAA, but you get what I'm saying.
I think it's the thing. I think it is AAA, but I just think that there's something in our brain that does what Jonesy's saying right now, which is that almost the AAA $70 idea clashes with what roguelites usually are. And like, I think we associate that thing of like dying being part of the process, and that means seeing that same early area over and over again. And then that limits, okay, how many areas and biomes can there actually be? How much art could have gone into this game? How much of a story can you tell through roguelite design? We look at those as usually inhibiting factors that limit the extent to which you can pull off that price tag. And I think Returnal is trying to, Deathloop as well. I feel more confident about Deathloop for some reason. Again, Deathloop is another one that hasn't registered as a roguelite for me.
But can I tell you why? Because it's to be seen whether it is like roguelike or roguelite, but it's coming from Arcane, who are not necessarily changing genres to make that game. Whereas you talk about Housemark and you look at the stuff that they've done with their bullet hell stuff, and then all of a sudden doing this third person, you know, there is this bigger jump between genres that they're doing.
Yeah. It's a bigger perspective jump, but then you also make that point and you could easily say, okay, great, but fucking Resogun and Nex Machina or whatever, they were all indie games too.
Yeah.
So this is also a developer, to back up Jonesy's point, that is firmly planted in indie roots, that is making a similar style of game to other indie games they've made. I know we're overusing and generalizing with the term indie here, but hopefully people know what we mean. I don't know. It's curious, but at the same time, it's not hard to explain. It's not like, you know, Death Stranding, where that game came out and people were still going, yeah, but what is it? Returnal is this weird like mix of things where it's like, okay, it's Housemark who used to make these bullet hell sort of arcadey shooters, but they've made a third-person shooter now, but it's also, you know, it's a roguelite, but it also has Metroid-like elements where you're getting, you know, hard upgrades that allow you to access different areas on your runs, and it's also got first-person survival horror-style storytelling reminiscent of PT that happens in the middle of your... Like, it's a lot of things, but at the same time, it's not hard to compress them and see, oh, okay, that's what that game is. There's not that much smoke and mirrors, you know?
I think the other thing is, as well, is if you're going to pay full price for a game, maybe the genre kind of suffers a bit, is because when choice is taken away from you. So like you were saying with the parasites. So if you get a bad hand of parasites and it ruins your game or that run, and then you do another run and you get a bad hand of parasites, I think it can almost feel like the game is not as good as it is. And then you do a run and you get a great hand, and then you feel like, oh, this game is fantastic. But most games allow you to make the decisions and you to decide the skill tree directions and for you to sort of craft how you're going to progress through the story. Whereas Returnal is a type of game where you don't have like Hades. I had some amazing runs where I had incredible power-ups and I was so into it. And then I would have another run where it was rubbish and I didn't like it. And then it would do it a couple of times and it would kind of put me off playing anymore. And I think, I suppose that's all, you put all those things together and then that's why as a genre, I'm like, okay, they can be fantastic. But when you start to talk about full price titles, I start to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, so I can see why it's for other people. Maybe I can see it's not for me. Like Hades, I really did enjoy, but I never finished it. I got to the point of fighting Hades, but I didn't actually manage to get defeated.
But that's it, right? At a full price title, it doesn't matter if you don't finish it, because you're getting the enjoyment from the systems and the games. That to me is kind of like an exemplification of what these rogue style games are like, where it's about the runs. It's not necessarily about completing the run. Obviously, there is that draw and there is that reward if you do. But this is maybe a question for you, Jamie, in terms of how it relates to Returnal. But if I think of a game, like my favorite roguelite is Risk of Rain 2, which is fucking amazing, right?
Right.
What happens there is, at least in the early to mid game or mid playthrough of that life cycle of that game, let's say, it doesn't matter how far you progress or what you do, you're constantly unlocking stuff. And I guess the same was with like Dead Cells, where you start the game, you're really shit, but you're unlocking stuff. It makes you better, but it's more like how robust that unlock system is. You remember you go into Dead Cells in the starting area and there's all those jars hanging from the ceiling. And you're like, oh my God, there's like 250 jars there or whatever it is. You're like, Jesus, you know? Whereas Returnal to me seems like, oh yeah, there's like 10. I might be wrong.
No, it doesn't have that equivalent. So
that is what makes a good roguelike or roguelite to me, is this continuous kind of rewarding for your efforts, even if you're not going anywhere.
Because now we're talking about the discrepancies between the genres, because of roguelikes and roguelites are different things. So what you're saying is you prefer roguelites, while Returnal is more of a roguelike. Yeah. In so much as like. But basically,
I must admit, I use the terms interchangeably because I don't really know the difference between the two. It's not my genre.
I think roguelikes are more punishing than roguelites.
Yeah,
like,
because
roguelites I think give you more stuff.
Exactly, because the way it worked originally was that the roguelikes were called roguelikes because they were like Rogue, and then roguelites became the lighter version of that because they started to get away from some of the fundamental sort of rules of the genre.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if it's necessarily like to the detriment of Returnal. It just might not be to everyone's tastes. And I think games like Dead Cells and Hades and Risk of Rain 2 have almost sort of like gotten us all a little bit more used to this idea of like, hey, things are going to get easier every time. You should be getting further every time. Whereas Returnal is almost excuse the word, I've no other word for it, a return to the days of like, hey, you did a 2-hour run and then died. You might have come back with some more ether, but there's a chance that that's it. And ether.
So would you call it a roguelike as opposed to a roguelite then? Or is
it's somewhere, it has to be somewhere between the two. It has to be somewhere between the two.
Okay. It's funny because in a way, like as we're talking about it, it makes me realize, even you look at games like Warzone, that's almost roguelite in a way, in that you play the same thing again and again and again. The challenge is different every time, but you have this over game, which means you unlock new stuff and you get new weapons and you do this, and even like Apex and all these other things.
But that's kind of more cosmetic based than like skill based.
It is, but then it's. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, let's roll the clock back half an hour to Chris fighting a boss that kicked his ass the first time. What the game was saying there was, yeah, you're going to die, and every time you die, you're going to feel hopeless because you know you're going to go into... I mean, yes, you can grind in Dark Souls, don't get me wrong. But like,
a lot more than you can in Sekiro, I'd say that much.
In theory, a lot of the communication from a game like that is like, hey, like, I know it's a cliche to say get good, but get good.
Yeah,
and you
learn
do.
The patterns,
and games are rewarding when they actually allow you to bridge that gap that caused the downfall the first time, but let you get over that hump, that hill, the second, third, fourth, whatever time.
I suppose the reality of these types of games versus more traditional sort of linear story campaigns to games is actually just the difficulty curve. Games make things much easier at the beginning so that you can survive and so you can get good whilst you're playing the game, and you never feel that the challenge is too much for you. Whereas these games don't hold back. And they immediately say, no, if you're too shit, you can't play you're going to die. You're going to have to start again. So they immediately go in with the curve, like with the difficulty curve high. And like Jamie said, you've got to get good. Otherwise you're not going to get any further.
Yeah.
So my real problem with them is I'm just not good enough to stick with them for any length of time.
I don't know.
In order to,
I when it comes to Returnal, I don't know if I'm good enough. And to go to what Chris was saying earlier, I don't know if I'll be able to kind of like mentally keep myself composed and stay with it. But
yeah. Should we touch on a few of the things that came out news-wise Returnal this week before we
totally
doing, because it would make sense. Because I saw a couple of things which jumped out at me, and I think I misconstrued some of the stories, and Jamie was sort of correcting me before the pod, which was quite useful actually. Because I think my original story that I'd seen was people were getting super annoyed because Returnal's playthroughs were so long that the game was the PlayStation 5 was occasionally crashing, and then they were losing any of the progress they made to that playthrough, and then they had to start that entire playthrough again, which sounded absolute trash. I'm not going to lie. Would be infuriating, especially if, like as you were saying, Jamie, it's a game that has already got you into a sort of a stressful position because you're worried about dying and you're worried about progress and how difficult the game is. Yeah, that sounds like a hell of a thing because there's no saving, right? There's no quick saving.
No, so there's no saving in your runs. So if you were, say, like in the middle of a run and you lost power, or you turned your PlayStation off, or you quit the game to launch another game, or you put the console in rest mode and there was a system update which has happened, or there was a game update which has happened, then yes, you would lose that run. There are 6.
Before we move on, can I just confirm then that I think it's the third first-party title for the PlayStation 5 is a game that does away with a function that the PlayStation 5 specifically introduced, which was switching between games.
Hey, well, in what sense do you mean the PlayStation introduced the functionality to switch games?
Because you couldn't switch as easily ever before on a PlayStation from one game to another mid-game and just keep playing like you can do on the PlayStation 5.
You can't switch from any game to another game.
Yeah, that's an Xbox thing, dude.
No, see, well, okay, you can get as close to that as you've ever been able to do in a PlayStation. You can hop in and hop out of games.
Yeah, but every game fully closes and fully opens every time you switch games.
But because of the saving, the way most games save these days, it doesn't feel like you're losing anything.
Oh,
It feels
right.
like
Okay,
I reject that idea.
I feel these days like you don't. It's like you don't even miss a beat. You literally just go everything auto.
You might feel that way, but it works the exact same way it did before. It's just games load faster.
Yeah, but that's how it feels. It feels great.
So what you're saying is,
done away with
hold
that.
on. What you're saying is not necessarily tied to PS5, but more tied to game development lately, where it's auto saves rather than auto saves and save points rather than manual saving.
And for a PlayStation player, it's the best iteration it's ever had, where you go from one game, you go, oh, I'm going to put this down, and you go to the home menu and you put another game on, and you pick up that game and you turn a game off, and you.
But even when that happens, though, Jonesy, it just kind of spits you back at whatever closest hub that you've had, regardless of where you are.
But the hubs now are they're non-existent, right?
Okay, but you're talking about game development now instead of anything else.
Oh, it's a massive factor. So if you're playing,
if the most common switch that I've made this week is from Returnal to Warzone, like how is that what you're saying at all applicable in that scenario?
So the one that really stood out to me would have been something like Ghost of Tsushima, whereas it was a game that you can save wherever you want. You literally just save it and then you play something like Rocket League or whatever, and then you go back into it because you need a bit of a de-stress. But
it's not suspending and resuming like the Xbox is. You're just loading Ghost of Tsushima very quickly.
But it loads it wherever you say wherever you.
Yeah, because that's the way Ghost of Tsushima was designed, like Chris said.
That's what I'm saying. But with a game like this,
because the original point you made was that it's a game that goes against the PS5's infrastructure or the PS5's design. That's not true.
Okay, but it goes against modern gaming and what the PlayStation 5
it goes against the way Jonesy wants people to make games.
No, because when the PS5 came out and it's like, oh, you can seamlessly with the SSD, you can switch from one game to another, and because the way games are made these days, you don't need to worry about going and saving here or not being able to save.
That was never part of the deal. That was never part of the deal.
It is part of the deal.
No, the whole saving loading thing is something you're bringing into it. You're talking about switch.
Yeah, I am. I said I'm bringing it into. I'm talking about the fact that you can save and drop out of a game and load and get into another game and then drop it back into another game seamlessly. It feels seamless.
And you're saying it's odd that you can't do it in this one.
No, the thing is, that's the thing, Chris. It works exactly as Jonesy's describing. It's just a game that's designed with no save point, so you always start at the beginning. It's still quite unquote seamless in the way Jonesy's talking about.
No, it isn't. It is. It's not.
You just can't save runs because it's a roguelike, and they decided they didn't need to save runs for some reason.
You can't mid-run. As far as I understand, I haven't played it. Tell me if I'm wrong. You can't.
But that's nothing to do with the PS5. You can still seamlessly switch back and forth. They just the Housemark decided.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. Housemark just decided that you. Okay, here's an example for you, Jonesy. Let's say I launch Returnal. I'm standing in the first opening area. I don't make a single step. I then switch to Ghost of Tsushima. Load my save, and then switch back.
You're not going to
then
do
it is
that.
exactly what you're talking about.
No.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
You're saying you're saying it's bullshit because even though like most of the games out there allow you to seamlessly save, go back from one game to another.
Keep using the word seamless. It's so stupid.
Without even noticing you're doing it, they've designed a game for the PlayStation 5 as like the third. Is it the third first party title? I think it's the third. Maybe it's not the third.
It's only on PS5.
Yeah.
You mean?
Third?
God, what was only on PS5? Demon's Souls, Destruction All Stars.
No, Miles Morales is on PlayStation 4 as well.
Yeah,
I can't even think.
Demon's Souls, Destruction All Stars. I don't know.
Okay, whatever. However many it is, it feels like that's the world they've designed the game for, and they know they've done that, and they've decided to go against it, which is just okay, fine.
No, I know sometimes we have these arguments that are 50-50. This is one of those ones where, in my opinion, you are flat out wrong. This is the Housemark's decision making has nothing to do with these words you keep using about like seamlessness.
It's a first-party game
and a feature
for the PlayStation 5.
I think the infrastructure. Fellas, I think it boils down to the fact that Jonesy just hasn't played roguelikes enough to understand that a roguelike you can't save in the middle of your run.
Yes, you can in some of them.
You can in some of them. Jonesy's right. But
It comes down to how the game, because the way people design games.
You can't criticize Housemark's choice as them not tying into something that barely even exists, that you've interpreted out of the PlayStation 5. Not even that's an advertised feature, because there is no suspend and resume. You just keep using the example of Ghost of Tsushima's autosave system as to why you think it feels seamless. But the second you throw another game in there, like a game with menus that you have to choose what you want to play before you do anything, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, then your seamless argument goes out the window. Because if I switch from Returnal to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, there is no then fucking going back to Returnal would feel seamless, because there are no menus in Returnal. It goes straight into the game. You would know that if you fucking played it.
But it should still, in this day and age, I feel like that is an omission on their part to not allow, knowing that they're making it specifically for the PlayStation 5.
Do you know what?
Oh, here's a question. If it was on the Xbox, I have no idea. If it was on the Xbox Series X,
yeah.
Would you be able to switch between games?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
No, there's different, because
that's
different, because that's
Sony's
on an OS
fucked up,
level
not
rather
Housemark,
than a developer level.
Then now you think the PS5 is
I'll tell
missing
you why
a
they're
feature.
fucked up is because you can just put your PlayStation to rest and go away and do something else and come back and play Returnal. So this doesn't make any sense. So they've given you a system. They know that you can do that on the PlayStation 5.
Because for the PlayStation PS5,
5, and they've just omitted
my God,
the
you
fact
fucking
that you can't
idiot.
save it.
PS5 doesn't have pause and resume like Xbox does. That's why you can't load another game. That's a PS5 functionality issue.
So what they should have included was a quick save feature where it's constantly saving, and it allows you.
Do you know what
to
the
drop
funny
into
thing
the
is?
game.
If you had just made that point, if you had just
That's
said...
the point I'm making!
No, the point you made, roll the tape back. The point you made was that Returnal's a first-party game that doesn't take advantage of Sony's non-existent pause and resume on the PS5 OS, and Ghost of Tsushima feels seamless. You did not, I repeat, you did not make the point that Returnal should have an autosave feature on runs.
Yes, that's literally the whole point.
But the reason you were making the point, your argument was completely built on completely unfounded grounds.
No, it was built on the fact they've made it for the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5, in the way the PlayStation 5 operates, you have to have a save feature because you can't do the Xbox hot switching, but you need to incorporate a autosave quick save feature so that you can switch from game to game and it be seamless.
That's the thing. Your argument for why you want autosave is because you want it to feel quote unquote seamless, the word you've fallen in love with over the last 10 minutes. Every time you switch games and back. Your argument is nothing to do with the fact that it would make runs more convenient, or that you could just play other games in general. You just want seamlessness. It's a silly point.
No, I regularly with my PlayStation 5, one of the best I don't know what you call it, one of the best quality of life fixes over, say, like the PlayStation 4, personally, is that you can go from game to game and it feels almost seamless.
It's not.
It isn't, but it doesn't matter because it feels
logos come up.
Irrelevant.
The PlayStation, the logos still come up. The servers get connected to. There are menus, multiple of them. There's nothing seamless about it. It's just faster than it used to be.
You don't think it feels it. I think it feels seamless.
It's just faster than it used to be.
Almost seamless.
Fellas, can I tell you what doesn't feel seamless? Can you take a guess?
Anyway.
This conversation.
But no, so
the
fact that they didn't include a quick save feature in this game feels very strange to me, given how long the runs are and given the type of game that it is.
Fine.
And given that it's a high-stress, bullet hell kind of game, it feels like a weird omission that when they were making this game specifically for the PlayStation 5, they didn't include that as a feature.
All right.
And they've now got the
my
problem,
God.
because this is part of the news story that we haven't even touched on yet. One of the problems they've had is, and that now Housemark have come out and actually said is a problem with the PlayStation 5, and they've called out PlayStation, or they've called out Sony, sorry, for this specifically. They've said that when the game crashes and you lose all of the progress in your run through and it doesn't save because there's no save feature, that is a problem with Sony's hardware, and it's not a problem of their game. And they've specifically said it is a problem with the pre-start system on the PlayStation 5, and that they have raised it with Sony and they're attempting to get it fixed because it's a problem which persists.
Yeah.
I
think the long-term solution to this is they just have to put autosaves in.
Isn't that I think that's brutal though. Don't you think that's brutal that they've said that about Sony? Like Housemark have just called them out, like bang.
Well, they're not a first.
Fine.
They're not a first-party dev for them, so it doesn't matter.
That's kind of feisty talk though for a company who've just made a game for them and have obviously want to keep a good relationship.
I think you're reading too much into it. I don't think it's feisty. It's just them being matter of fact.
Yeah, I think you can be direct without being feisty. I mean, if it is a Sony issue, then it's like, what's the alternative? Them taking the blame for a company they don't work for?
Yeah, I suppose. I see what you mean. There's not many good alternatives. I don't know. It just seems to me like if I worked at Sony and then someone went, "Do you see what fucking Housemark just said?" I can imagine being like, "Oh, we're not making a game with any more bunch of dicks." Can't believe they said it was us. Well, like if you were at work and you were making a video and then you took it to someone else and there was like a transition which was a bit shit. I'm the sort of person who would say, and someone said, "Oh, we don't like that transition. That's a bit jank," and I'd say, "Oh, sorry, we'll take a look at that for you and to get it sorted out." I wouldn't go, "Oh, that was Jamie. Don't know what he's doing with transitions. He completely messed it up." Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I do.
Yes. But okay, so an interesting point that you touched on, though, Jonesy, was that when you put your PlayStation, if you're playing the game and you put your PlayStation in like a sleep mode, the game is still technically running, right? Yeah. Part of the issue that they've had is if there was any update to the game or any update to PlayStation, that it would crash Returnal and corrupt the save file.
And as a PlayStation 5 person, that happens all the goddamn time that your PlayStation 5 goes into sleep mode. Because so here you go. This is like what we're talking about. Annoying quality of life stuff. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know, Jamie, you'll have to say if he's had this problem as well. I'll put my PlayStation controller down because the kids wake up or whatever. I have to sort that out. It turns off after it goes to sleep after a certain amount of time. And then the PlayStation shuts itself down, like not that it shouldn't do. I reboot it and it says you shouldn't unplug your PlayStation 5. I'm like, no one fucking unplugged it. And then I turn it back on and it goes like rebuilding system. So as far as I understand, had I been playing Returnal then, I would have lost
all your progress. It would basically be as if you just started the game from scratch.
And then it would have corrupted my save file.
Which absolutely sucks. But more than that, it seems that Housemark released a patch. The patch that they initially released was itself broken, corrupted somehow, and fucked up with the game. So they've removed that patch, but they've since reinstated a patch that is now all kosher, all good, and will sort out a lot of issues that people have been having.
The bad patch was the thing that was corrupting people's saves. And the new patch, in some cases, will bring them back from the dead, but in other cases, it won't. Those people have just lost their shit.
It's just unfortunate, right? Like, no one wants this to happen for their game.
This is absolutely unfortunate, and I think it's the frustrating thing is that there are very simple workarounds. Like, this is one feature implementation that obviously, it seemed clear at this stage, Housemark were very black and white about that it wasn't a part of their design plan, and they never at any point designed Returnal with it in mind, and maybe that's why there's this kind of this hesitation on their part to implement that kind of a feature. There is also a part of me that's just like, with a game like Returnal, and this isn't an excuse, and I'm not actually saying I feel this way, but there's also a part of me that wonders, do you owe it to yourself as a consumer paying $70 or £70 to buy Returnal to know what you're getting into? Because I identify as someone who knows what I'm getting into. I've played Returnal, not as much as I'd have liked to, but I've played it a handful of times this week. Have I left Returnal on rest mode? No. Have I switched games and realized, oh no, what have I done? No. Have I sat down to play Returnal when I'm not sure I've got enough time to play Returnal? No.
Yeah.
Like, would I love Returnal to be a half an hour pick up and play thing so I know I could come back to that run? Yeah, that would be cool. Then maybe it would replace like a Rocket League in that slot. But at the moment, it's not one of those games. At the moment, I sit down to Returnal when I know I've got 2-3 hours to kill, which is why I've only played it a handful of times. And I'm not suggesting that every consumer should have to make that decision and should have to be as aware of those pitfalls. But again, as someone who spent £70 on Returnal, I was under no illusions about what kind of game it was because I looked into that shit. And, that doesn't work for everyone. It's not a good excuse for Housemark, but that's just the way it's worked out for me. And also, I'll say to Jonesy's point earlier, I've got my PS5 set to never turn itself off or even put itself into rest mode. It just stays on.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably doing it the right way, given the amount of problems and like.
Well, that was why I changed it, because rest mode was bonked. So for so long, I was like, never putting my console in rest mode ever.
For me, it was the fact that I often I'm like, I would be doing something, I'd be playing a game, and then I'd have to go and do something else. And I was like, I'll go back to it, and then I wouldn't get the chance to, and then I'd be like, oh shit, it's been on all night. So that's the only reason. But you're right, it is probably not the way to do it because it still has problems.
Yeah. It's a shame. You know what else is a shame, fellas? The situation with a gaming publication, as it were.
Intriguing. ...
I think this is more your area.
Are you talking about GB?
Yeah, unfortunately, a fuck ton of people are leaving Giant Bomb.
Indeed, I like this is one of those weird ones where like originally I don't even know if I was going to bring it up. It's hard to know how many people care about shit like this. Like there's some circles this is a big deal, and some circles it isn't.
But before you start, I think it's worth remembering that whether you watch Giant Bomb or even know who they are, you got to understand that how you consume your games commentator media these days is more or less directly related to what they did and what they pioneered, right?
I mean, I'd like to think so. Personally,
I'd say so.
I think that, you know, you go back to kind of GameSpot circa 2005, 6, 7. Like, I think they were some of the first people in the video game space, and certainly like online video game space, to identify that personality was going to be the thing that drove that side of the industry forward before YouTube even existed. And you know, I've hesitated to recommend them to people over the years because I think nowadays you find Giant Bomb and it's just like they're just a bunch of dudes in their 40s who have been in the games industry so long that they're incredibly cynical. Some would say boring, and that their presentation in terms of the way they make their content isn't necessarily top notch. They don't edit anything. And even I over the years haven't liked all the iterations of that lineup. But for anyone that missed the news, as Chris said, a bunch of people are leaving, and Giant Bomb, as we know it or knew it, is essentially no more. Jeff Gerstmann will still be there, but I guess it's really just an interesting way to talk about this idea of that. I asked you guys a question this week, like, is it wrong to be emotional when something like this goes away, when something like this ends prematurely? And luckily, you both said no. But it was weird. It was weird that like I spent 7 years listening to these guys for hours and hours and hours every week. Probably some weeks, probably as much as 7 or 8 hours if you included all the podcasts and live streams and stuff like that. And now it's just not a thing anymore. And that was a very strange emotional feeling.
Well, I said it, didn't I? It's like we're experiencing it now, but I mean, not to kind of like pump ourselves up that much, but I guess there were a handful of people that probably felt the same way when they heard the news that, hey, ATG is no longer going to be around. Like, totally. Yeah, fine, we're doing SuperShow and we're doing podcasts, but it's not the same to what ATG was. You know?
No one's paying us to make this. Or actually, that's not true. Apart from our Patreon,
the support of our lovely Patreons.
We don't get paid to make
/ the Super Show. Yeah,
it's a bit different when you get paid like full time to just make content and you can do it week in, week out. Yeah. It gives you the space to do sort of a lot more. Obviously,
I guess it's just interesting experiencing. Not that we're on the same level as them at all, but experiencing things from both sides of that gap and that divide, right? Of being content creators, having to kind of like put up our hats on ATG, and on the other side, seeing something like Giant Bomb or whatever it may be, and see them kind of saying like, hey guys, Giant Bomb, as you know it, is no longer going to be around. It's still going to be there in name. And yeah, Jeff Gerstmann's going to be there, but it's going to be a completely different entity. Yeah. It's just interesting having those two sides of it. I was listening to the Giant Bomb podcast where they announced all of it, and yeah, it's interesting, man. Very interesting.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I almost feel like the reason ATG started and failed are kind of the same reason, probably the same sort of issues they've had. I'm guessing with Giant Bomb in that. So when we started ATG, we all started it just us three after hours and stuff. It wasn't actually something we did through our company that we were working for. And then it became successful and we managed to make it become our like day to day what we did.
Yeah.
And obviously Giant Bomb is a bit different in that they started out as, I'm guessing that they started out like as a proper sort of publication, and then they moved into like online stuff because they were obviously a website, and they have and then they have the podcasts and things that existed after the fact. And I'm wondering if the thing that the death knell for them was probably the fact that you can start game channels at home from your bedroom with little experience and blow up. So for basically no overhead. And these are the people that the Giant Bombs and, you know, the other sort of large gaming platforms have to try and contend with, in that those people with no overheads can turn out content every day.
That's a factor, but I think in terms of this, it's maybe the opposite direction, right? Where
But I was going to say, but then they can't, from where they're at now, the parent company who because they were bought right recently.
was it CBS or?
They were CBS prior to this. The company, the new one, is called like Red Media Ventures or something.
Right.
I'd never heard of them before, but
like, do you think it's fair to say that from where they're at now, like companies are always looking for growth, and where they're at now, they can't grow?
I think that, well,
do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're already Giant Bomb, there's nowhere to go. You can't get any bigger.
Their model was okay, because for anyone that didn't know, they started a premium subscription model before Patreon was a thing, and that was still fairly healthy, is my understanding. But I think, well, the impression that I've got, and Chris, if you listen to the podcast, maybe you let me know if you think differently. But
yeah,
I think what happened was they were beginning to have conversations with the new parent company about, like, okay, what does the future of this website and all this stuff look like? Because everything you do right now is maybe a little bit like it's inefficient. A lot of the stuff you're doing isn't finding an audience. The podcast is big. The video content isn't. The subscription model might not be sustainable, and so on and so forth. How do we refresh this and pump a bit of life into it? And it was at that point that a bunch of dudes who had been there for, you know, almost 2 decades were like, nah, I'm out. There was some speculation that because 3 of them left at the same time, about the timing, that some people now believe that they might have signed. You can sign deals after a takeover saying, hey, I promise not to leave for 6 months, and in return you might get a bonus. It kind of looks like they all signed a 6-month agreement, and now that 6 months is up, like basically like 50% of the company is all leaving on the same day voluntarily. They're not. They haven't been laid off.
Yeah,
there are no layoffs.
It's always hard, right? Because in terms of these things, no one's really going to give the full breadth of the situation,
which is exactly what we had with ATG, right? We knew things we couldn't say.
Yeah, exactly.
Still do.
So it's hard to tell. I'd imagine that you're probably right in that maybe they saw the direction that things were headed and they weren't too happy with it, potentially. If you listen to them on the podcast, they're just like, oh yeah, you know, we just it's time, it's ready for a change. Been doing this for 10 plus years, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, okay, that's fair, but that's not really. It's neither here nor there, is it? There's got to be for 3 people to be leaving pretty much on the same time. There's something a little bit more
on the same day.
It was time for a change.
3 people, yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, Jesse.
That's why I said it sort of makes me think of like ATG a little bit, and how that is, because even as like ATG, if we can have a static number of people listening, watching, doing whatever, make the same amount of money week on week, to us it feels fine. But then if you look at a parent company often will say, like you just said, where does it go?
Oh, there he is, Mr. Professional.
But no, but the thing
is that part of it, you think? Or
no, because the thing that's different is, like, without being too indiscreet, like if we had wanted to stay at the company we were at before, working under ATG and trying to find the new direction for it, that option wasn't on the table.
No. I know.
Like with this, like
I'm just trying.
Giant Bomb still exists. Jeff Gerstmann is still there. They're trying to find the next direction. It's just that basically the entirety of the senior
ATG
stuff
still exists.
Well, I mean,
ATG still exists. Well. ATG, although it's kind of not there. It's very different. You're right.
Maybe it's more like this, Jonesy. Maybe it's more like the head honchos come to us at ATG days and say, these 6 lists, these live streams, all of this, it's not working. And we need to change something. So what you're going to do is you're just going to make Minecraft and Fortnite videos. And then you'll be like, okay, that's fine. That's a way that this channel can continue. But I don't want to make Fortnite and Minecraft videos, so I'm going to leave. Not saying that
No,
Giant Bomb are doing that.
but they also.
Oh, I was
example.
going to say, did they give that away?
And then
No.
maybe there's also a thing where they say, this is the new plan, and to make things slightly easier, can you all sign contracts that agree to stay with this new plan for a certain amount of time, and we'll give you bonuses if you fulfill that contract. Right. Except maybe also, Chris, we identify you as the leader, and so maybe yours, rather than being 6 months, is actually 2 years. That's what I mean. This is all speculation.
And then, of course, and we're saying, well, Gertzman's still there. It's like, or is he on a 2 year?
So that's what I'm saying. So he made a statement to GameSpot where he said, there is a collective vision for what the future of Giant Bomb is, and it involves both familiar and new faces. We're already in talks with creators so that we can begin this next chapter. We're fully aware that this month's blah, 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 blah. Chance to introduce new personalities from different backgrounds and explore categories and topics that we never have before. My theory is that rather than like hiring new people that are essentially completely unknowns, which is what they've done before, I think they're going to either hire or rope in people from other places that are already established. For anyone that doesn't listen, Danny O'Dwyer, the No Clip guy, he's been on the Giant Bombcast for basically the entirety of this year so far. I think they're going to do more things like that, where like, hey, this person you know from this thing is now a full-time guest on the podcast.
You know, I just realized what they're doing.
What would you go for it? What?
They're doing Phase 100 Thieves.
In what sense?
So it's going to be, you know, like Phase Danny O'Dwyer. It's going to be like GB Danny O'Dwyer, and then it's just going to be this like this branding, this like.
I honestly, because like the state of the lineup right now, if they just hired fucking 4, 5, 6 people, like not off the streets, that's a kind of a rough way of saying it, but you know what I mean. Like that podcast would die because no one wants to tune into their favorite podcast and hear 4 new voices all at once. No one wants that. So I think they've got to. I think they probably also get roped into the GameSpot thing a lot more. Maybe a few GameSpot voices on the podcast and so on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then see, that's why I wonder if part of it is the problem you've got is like, you look out there and you look at YouTube, you look at gaming influencers, and you say, look at all these people being insanely successful. Look at the numbers they're doing. Look at this. We're not growing. Why are we static? Why are we not doing the numbers? We've got all these overheads. We've got this thing. We need to be doing X, Y, Z. We need to, like, what is it saying we heard regularly was esports. What's happening with esports? How do you make money out of esports?
Yeah.
And we're like, we don't know anything about esports. Like we watch barely any, and how are we going to suddenly leverage the esports community to bring in, and you keep getting pushed and pulled in different directions because parent companies are not happy with, well, we get our viewers every week and we do pretty well and we're doing X, Y, Z. They're like more. And I think you're right. I think if someone comes to you and says you're making Fortnite and Minecraft videos or podcasts about that every week, then you say you go, no, I'm not. We didn't, admittedly, like you said, we didn't have the opportunity to say, okay, but...
Well, we kind of did. We kind of did, because there was a time well before ATG was ever known to shut down where we had a meeting with YouTube, and just trying to understand why our views started to go down. And in that meeting, a representative from Google point blank told me, you guys... just get into a basement and just play Fortnite and Minecraft. That's all you need to do. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But see, even that's bullshit though, because that's the same as going, you just need to talk about esports. Like they don't know that. They're saying the most.
Yeah, but hold on, because you're talking to a representative of the platform that runs an algorithm that decides what content is being shown. And at that time, Jonesy, he was 100% right, because YouTube was not interested in gaming. The broader sphere of gaming. If you went onto the gaming tab on trending, you only saw Fortnite with the occasional Minecraft back then. That's all you saw. So he wasn't wrong. I can't begrudge him. I can't begrudge him for that. But
I'm saying he was wrong in the direction of causality. He was wrong. In my opinion, he was wrong to say if you make content around Minecraft and Fortnite, you will pop off again.
No, I think more the wink, wink, nudge, nudge was like, hey, make Fortnite, make Minecraft content, and guess what? The algorithm's your friend then. But hey, if you do 6 lists on like sexiest animals in games, guess what? You're not getting in that fucking algorithm, boy.
Thick boys of gaming. No, but that you can but I don't know how much of them saying that is actually them saying looking at what does well. they look at the algorithm, what the algorithm spits out. Because let's be honest, they don't know half the shit that it's going to spit out. And then they're like, wow, the algorithm seems to massively be pushing Fortnite and Minecraft. But then if we started to make Fortnite and Minecraft footage, so are 10,000 children who live in countries all over the world who have nothing better to do.
But what
than
I'm
play
saying
Minecraft
is this:
and Fortnite, that we now have to compete with.
It's a little bit of a tangent, but this is what I'm saying. That's why that whole situation was so fucked. Because fine, the algorithm might be skewing towards those kinds of things, but then by the algorithm promoting those kinds of things, that's the only thing that's going to get views. So therefore, that's the only thing you should be doing. And yes, then you get a saturation point where it's like absolutely fucking mental, which is, hey, guess what? End result, we're no longer on ATG.
That's why.
But then this is where I have to be the pantomime villain and point out that there are plenty of people that did things similar to what ATG did that still go to this day.
Yes, because
they never
weathered the storm, and they had people behind them that were willing to weather the storm.
Well,
and I guess the people that were behind us were willing to weather the storm up to a certain point.
Yeah, but like
beyond that, they just threw their hands up and said,
to what extent will? I mean, this is maybe a conversation that shouldn't even be on this podcast, but like the people behind this element is something, yes, true, but also like we were still steering that ship. We still made, like, once the downturn started, we still made almost 2 calendar years worth of content that never found an audience again, quite like the one we lost. Yeah, you know.
I think. Personally, I think you can look far too much at like this. Oh, could have, would have, should have, like done X, Y, Z, and it would have been better. Like that's fine. You can look at people that are successful and say, if I'd have just done that, I would have been successful. But in my mind, it's almost like saying, if I'd have just picked the lottery numbers right, I would have won the lottery. It's like fine, but you didn't know the goddamn lottery numbers.
But
for example, to Jamie's
but this
point,
was a lottery that everyone around us would continue to win while we weren't winning.
No, because I was going to just say, like, we could have looked and said, okay, what are Giant Bomb doing? They're massive. We can just copy Giant Bomb. And a year down the line, Giant Bomb disappear. And we're like, oh, shit, they were the wrong horse to back.
But what example is there of that actually happening? What example of that is there of that actually happening? Like, who disappeared?
Giant Bomb.
No, they didn't.
They're not disappearing.
But we're saying that we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but obviously there's been conversations about stuff's not great, so those guys are deciding to leave.
That's the thing. That's speculation. They just got bored.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm speculating. Yeah, I am speculating.
There's nothing to suggest that like the numbers aren't great or the finances aren't great. They're just changing direction because they've got a new owner.
Yeah.
Oh sure, but my speculation is the reason they're changing direction is because stuff isn't going in the direction the new owner wants it to go in. But I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. It could be for other reasons for sure.
Well,
anyway,
there we go. Yeah, you know what else is kind of just moving on from this topic because Jamie's right. We probably can't delve any deeper than we have. But another kind of thing that's
shit. Are we gonna get sued?
Nah, we're not gonna get sued.
Oh no, we just like you said, we're just speculating about shit. We don't really know. It sucks. Let's say that it suck. Every time you see someone like.
And like we said,
I'm choosing to leave. It sucks.
Yeah, and like you said, you never know what's happening behind the scenes. But we are getting a glimpse into what's happening behind the scenes in something else, fellas.
See, fucking, this is it. One comment from Valdemar and Chris is all over it.
This
Look
is
what you've done, Mr. Martinez.
And this is the Apple versus Epic lawsuit. Because if you recall, fellas, Apple said to Epic, no Fortnite on iPhones or the App Store because you cannot have a secondary storefront, as it were, because it goes against our terms and conditions. Now,
because we want all the money.
Yeah, sure. But at the same time, it's their storefront, it's their terms and conditions. So here is where the lawsuit comes in. Who's right? Who's wrong? It doesn't really matter because what's really nice is all the juicy shit that's kind of, like a game like Diablo, where you hit a creature and like an end game boss, and it just spews out all of this fucking juicy loot and gold. And then you just spend like the next 5 minutes picking up all the stuff, looking at what's come out of it. This is what this whole Epic versus Apple lawsuit.
Epic. No, you've made a new word and it's great. Epic.
This is what the whole Epic lawsuit is, right? Because it doesn't necessarily matter about the fight of the boss. What matters is all the juicy loot flying outside of its body. It's fucking great.
You're not wrong.
It is epic with two.
It is epic. It is epic. So look, just so you know, okay, Apple currently takes 30% of every in-app purchase made through apps available in its app store. Keep in mind that Epic themselves are trying to,
Big money.
It is big money. But Epic famously have been going up against Steam, with a storefront of their own. And then they've also got a storefront within Fortnite selling skins, etc., what have you. So it's very interesting, okay? Fortnite got removed because of the whole V-Bucks thing that went against Apple's policies. And now, as a result of the lawsuit actually getting into court, because people didn't think it would get to court. Usually these things don't. Usually it's a case of you settle out of court, everyone walks away happy. But what's happening here is...
Let me just clarify, because I've forgotten, because I have a terrible memory, as everyone who listens to this will know. So the main issue that they had with the V-Bucks thing wasn't that they said, don't spend your money through the App Store, spend your money through our online thing by buying V-Bucks with us specifically, and then you can buy stuff in-game. And Apple were like, well, hold on. Oh, sorry, that was Steam, wasn't it? And then they were like, hold on, you're using that as a way to get around our policies of us getting our cut.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna tell you to fuck off.
Yeah, for the gist of it, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
They were in-app purchases without being Apple App Store in-app purchases.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Because I think it didn't redirect you to like Epic's website or something, and that's where you anyway.
And you bought the V-Bucks, or you bought the Bucks, right? And then you used them in the game.
It's something like this is why you can go on your browser on your computer and sign up to Spotify Premium. But if you don't go through if you just go on your app on your phone, go through a Spotify app and sign up to Spotify Premium through iOS, you'll be doing it as an in-app purchase that Apple will take 30% off from Spotify.
The most annoying one is if you go onto Amazon Prime and you want to rent a movie on your iPhone, you can't, because it says this is not possible through this app. But if you then log into Amazon on a browser on your phone, you can rent the movie and then watch it on Prime on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Audible has the same problem.
That's Amazon playing okay with the App Store's policy. And this is where Epic kind of gets annoyed by it. But now to paraphrase Jamie, actually, what's happening is it's just billionaires arguing with billionaires over who's going to be more billionaire.
True. You're not wrong.
I want to be a billionaire.
It's true. All this is, it's not like you think of Apple as a massive company. Epic is a fucking massive company. It's just one massive company saying we want more money and we're greedier than you. And the other one saying, no, because we were the original greedy people. So fuck you. It's just
This is the great point Jamie makes when we talk about companies like CD Projekt and we talk about them like they're indies. And he's like, they're worth a fucking fortune.
Yeah.
They're tricking you. What are you doing?
Totally, dude. So, in the meantime, everyone in the games industry is kind of getting sucked into this because you're getting Nvidia and Microsoft and Nintendo kind of some of their trade secrets coming out of this because, hey, guess what? A courtroom full of sealed files is not actually as sealed as you thought they would be.
Yeah. There's stuff that was asked
a number of interesting things.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff that like people requested not be made public was made public, and then it was like, did the judge fuck up or did they not make the request in time? All kinds of weird shit was happening.
Yeah, and then the judge came out and said, well, they're open now, so...
Yeah, exactly. No point in pulling them back now. They're already in the public.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, some of the stuff is like, from Epic's side, it's saying how much they pay for their Epic Store exclusives or how much they pay in order to give us, as Epic Store users, free games. It was something like 136 million or something like that for Borderlands 3.
So yeah, 146 million for the exclusivity on Borderlands 3, which was a 6-month period, and Epic recouped their $80 million minimum guarantee within just 2 weeks.
So shit works. So when you say like, oh yeah, you know what, I got to support Epic on this, free Fortnite, hashtag free Fortnite. I mean, they don't need to free anything. These guys are fine.
Yeah. They do say that the Epic Store, though, is, as a result of deals like that, hundreds of millions of dollars short of being profitable. And I don't think the Epic Store specifically will be profitable for 3 or 4 years, but that's probably an easier pill to swallow given that Fortnite generated $9.1 billion in revenue across 2018 and 2019. $9.1 billion.
if you say it won't make any money for 3 to 4 years, it's like, so hold on, in 3 to 4 years, I'm going to make bank.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's when it
it's a
becomes
waiting game.
profitable. Yeah.
And I think
you'll
they
start
said,
making shit ton.
I think one of the stats was saying that Epic believes the Epic Game Store will have 35 to 40% market share in 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
You know, so what you're doing is
That's
like,
epic.
yeah, it is. That's epic, is what it is. So what they're doing is they're hedging their bets, right? They're taking the hit now because they know it'll pay the dividends in the long term, and they're absolutely right. It will.
Yeah, like we also got a little bit of detail about how their deals with free games work and the amount they pay for those. 2 examples I pulled: Subnautica, which was free on Epic Game Store for a little while. Epic paid $1.4 million to make Subnautica free. On the flip side, though, Super Meat Boy, Epic only paid $50,000.
Yeah, it's
To make
mad.
Super Meat Boy
Some of them
free.
doesn't make. There's some. They had a whole table of all these games, Jonesy, and some of them were like, "You
Is that
paid,
because it's so old?
you
man?
paid
Is that
nothing
because
for
of
this."
Age?
Yeah, maybe it's an age thing.
Because remember, if it's free, it's not exclusive, so
Yeah.
it's still on other storefronts, etc.
Right.
It's more a case of saying, well, you know, if people want it on Epic, then there it is, I guess.
Yeah,
I suppose also you get the bump of something like Super Meat Boy. You say, okay, it's 50 grand, it's free, but now you've just given a lot of people the incentive to buy the sequel.
well, and also it's about accounts and signups, right? So overall, they spent nearly $12 million across 38 games that went on to be free on their store, which led to the creation of almost 5 million new Epic accounts, which led to a cost of $2.37 per new user for Epic.
Right. There you go.
Which,
So that's what they're doing.
I don't
They're
know if that's
buying
good
a lot.
value.
When they're doing that, they're buying users. That they're not buying free games to give to people. They're buying users to the storefront in the hopes that they will buy the next game.
Yes,
Maybe
sure,
through an
yeah.
exclusivity deal. Like, I'm not an Epic Store kind of guy, but guess what? Control and Metro, what was it? Exodus. That was all on Epic, so I bought it there.
I'd tell you what else Epic do, which is pretty genius, is they give you those like $10 off vouchers and stuff.
Yeah.
So then you go, oh, $10 off. Oh, so this game's only costing me $5.99 instead of $15.99, and they're obviously going, it's still costing you $5.99 of real money, so we'll take it.
Yeah. That's how I
so
bought
they're
Hades.
smart. They're very smart.
Yeah.
Jamie,
do you guys?
you had some other kind of anecdotes from
Yeah,
Warner's.
I feel like there's a few other tidbits. I don't even know where to start with some of this stuff. This one I pulled out for Jonesy. This was Mark Rain, who is the co-founder of Epic Games. They were having a little email back and forth, which is how a lot of this leaked out, which I fucking love. And they were talking about Microsoft's Minecraft Earth demo, which was the AR sort of like AR infused Pokemon Go style Minecraft game. Mark Rain accused Microsoft in this email of, quote, horribly overselling AR in a way that poisons the well for the industry. They did the same shit with HoloLens.
To be fair, he's not wrong. I've used a HoloLens. It's pretty crap.
Yep.
And
Just interesting that like, Epic behind the scenes literally accusing Microsoft of poisoning the well when it comes to AR. There was an agreement, a deal that got leaked between Sony and Epic with regards to payment and playtime ratio for Fortnite. So, for example, if someone was spending a disproportionately large amount of money on other platforms compared to the amount of time they played Fortnite on PlayStation, so let's say someone played PlayStation Fortnite for 10 hours, but then for some reason would always go to the Xbox to buy the Battle Pass, Epic had a deal with Sony where Sony would be compensated for that loss in relative revenue.
Wow.
Okay.
One of the others was that for the PlayStation 4, at least, Sony were charging companies in order to have crossplay.
Yeah. There's also some leaked emails from 2018 where Epic are trying to convince Sony to enable crossplay and they aren't convinced. And so basically Epic try and make this like crazy like high level pitch to them where they're saying things like giving them all the data and marketing data that they asked for, deeply integrate Sony's esports API into the Unreal Engine 4 as an engine level feature and maybe announce it at E3. Announce crossplay in conjunction with Sony, and in this part, I like Epic goes out of its way to make Sony look like heroes. You get to pick the when, where, how. Epic brands its E3 presence with PlayStation, including a 100-player celebrity pro-am with huge after-party. Budgets have seen a huge. It will be the biggest event at E3. Maybe we announce with all the celebs on stage, question mark.
Do you know what's great about all of this is we've been in meetings and we've talked to people where you've heard this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's so funny just to hear like, even
Hey,
these
we
massive
came up
companies-
with some crazy ideas or some pitches to promote games.
some absolutely fantastic ideas.
The best one was it for Watch Dogs?
Yeah.
Do you remember it, Jamie? Do you remember it, Jonesy?
That was,
It was your idea.
That
Go
was
on.
such a good idea.
Give
The idea was because they had some ludicrous amount of money that they wanted to spend. It was, let's say it was, I can't remember. Let's say it was like £250,000 quid.
It was all
it was like
six figures,
half a million, dude.
Was it $500,000? It was like £500,000 quid to spend on like some advertising campaign for Watch Dogs. And I can't remember. I think it was my idea was to say like, let's spend like however much, 150k or whatever it was to actually make the content and make the videos and da. But then what we do with the rest of the cash, so we're talking a cool 350,000, is to just load it into cannons around something like
No, didn't we say ATM machines?
I remember ATM machines, yeah.
No, it was ATM machines, but it was to imitate the ATM
It was like
machines.
Piccadilly
it was
Circus?
air cannons, like ATM that looked like ATM machines. And it was where's the place with the billboards? and
Piccadilly
stuff?
Circus.
Piccadilly Circus, yeah.
Piccadilly Circus. And we just blast all of the money out. So there's cash going everywhere. And it's like this amazing, like visceral thing where you get a load of people to act like it's actually really happening. You've hacked the system and it's launching money out. That was a great idea. Like,
It was a great idea. It's a mental
people have
idea.
Hundreds of thousands of pounds just came blasting out of the cash machines at Piccadilly Circus. The traffic went to a standstill. Like, oh, dude, it was a great idea.
Yeah.
If they've got the cash to burn, we can blast it out of a cash machine.
Yeah, and then the next day, all the tabloids are going to be talking about how 50 people got murdered because they had wads of cash that other people wanted.
Stampede, they got trampled to death.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the idea, isn't it? Is that all the free advertising from this insane. Thing
That's
that
the
happened
idea,
was
yeah.
Cash. That's the idea. Is the insane kind of like, what the hell? Hundreds of thousands of pounds coming out of cash machines.
Anyway, you guys might be surprised to hear that they never went for that idea.
Funny that.
Because they can't see a good idea when they see one.
True.
They don't know a good idea. When
Oh,
they see
you know, we had some really good, decent ideas. I remember the one we had for Call of Duty World War II to promote that is we said that we would storm Normandy, that they'd imagine on the beach of Normandy, there'd be a table with a computer that you could, or a console, whatever, that you could play the game on. And that we would storm it by land, sea, and air. And one of us would take one of us would drive a Willis Jeep from the UK all the way down there. One of us would take a speedboat, and one of us would parachute down.
This is not a good look, but we just had a whole segment about how sad and what a shame it is that ATG, and now we're talking about what our pictures were for six-figure budget spends.
Yeah, it's quality.
One of my favourite, I don't know if you remember this one, was the one around Last of Us Part 2, which was and the idea was basically to take over like empty shops, bus stops, like random places in London, and to revert them to nature.
Yeah.
Like Last of Us, as in Last of Us, and have like a derelict car and vines growing all over it and stuff. That I thought was a really cool idea. Like, and you have all these pop-up areas around London that would have been.
We said we were going to release the giraffes from London Zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's epic. You have to.
None of these things ever fucking happen though. Like, it's not even that like you could look at it and be like, oh, that's where they spent that £500,000. Like,
No.
they just the answer in most of these situations is they just don't.
Yeah.
No.
The answer is they just pay a celebrity to make a shitty 30-second ad.
Well, I was going to say there was one year where the winning pitch for Call of Duty, I think it ended up going to like Lad Bible or something like that. It was just a paintball match with celebrities in it. So,
To be fair, we
Right.
often said, "What about a paintball match?"
Yeah, I
We
mean-
get a load of people.
clearly they went for it one year.
Yeah.
Well, like you look at the new Warzone ad. I bet that cost them loads of money to make,
Yeah.
and it's a whole bunch of
yeah.
is it sports stars or rappers or something?
No,
who are
both.
just
All sorts,
going,
yeah.
"Oh, I fucking love Warzone."
Yeah.
Oh, my mate.
Bunch of
I'm gonna
like
kick a
really
grenade.
awkwardly done green screen shit.
Yeah.
Like, what if we got a footballer who plays for Aston Villa to do keepy uppies with a grenade?
yeah.
That's actually
was-
what
Paid him
happened.
20 grand.
There was one that they did a COD campaign where it was literally the idea that they spent all that money and budget on was like, oh, we'll just get user generated content of people doing little vignettes, and that was the one where they had Post Malone, that Post Malone song, whatever, Rockstar or some shit like that.
Oh.
It was really bad. It was really bad and really
Dude,
fucking
I'm so
simple.
over those sorts of shit trash ideas where they just go, I'm just going to we're going to get influencers to just say it's good. I'm like, do something.
Well, we're over it because we were never those influencers that they would have paid.
The one that was
if
good
they
was
paid
when
us,
they got
we'd be like, yeah, I love this shit.
They did like a live action thing, and it was like actors playing their gaming style counterparts in an actual war zone.
Oh.
No, it was decent, and like Jonah Hill was in it, and he was like the noob, but like in real life. So he was like, he was going to use the noob tube and stuff like that, but they were in a real, I don't know. I remember that being quite fun. Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear about some more epic stuff?
Yeah.
I've got a few more bits and pieces. One thing that's makes sense, but I didn't know existed, is that like Microsoft have an internal team that review. Sorry, one sec, lads. I've got to go after this news story.
Okay, that's good.
Okay,
I'm getting hounded.
Hounded.
No problem.
The feds, yeah. They're
Yeah,
finally on your
I've got
case.
to wrap this up quick. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So yeah, one thing that I didn't know existed, but I guess makes sense, is that Microsoft have like an internal team that looks at and reviews other games that other teams are making and other companies are making.
Yeah.
And in the Microsoft internal review of The Last of Us Part 2, haters block your ears, they called it, quote, significantly ahead of anything out on consoles and PCs. As in,
Microsoft. That's from Microsoft.
In an
but then they went
thing,
on to criticize the gunplay. They said that Naughty Dog still hasn't nailed the gunplay.
Yeah, and they also criticized having to
I don't disagree.
Change weapons on the D-pad while you're moving with the left analog stick. They didn't like that either, but I don't know.
Yeah. It is interesting that they had this whole review process.
Yeah, and speaking of incorrect internal Microsoft documentation, they also had documents about what their rivals would be doing in terms of releases. And while a lot of the Sony stuff was redacted and we couldn't see what they thought, there was at one point in time, August in 2020 to be precise, when Microsoft believed that Breath of the Wild 2, Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 would all be released between October and December of 2020, when in fact none of them were. So
Can you
they were
imagine
way
if
off.
they did, though? What a fucking year.
Yeah, unbelievable. There was an email thread where Phil Spencer said to Tim Sweeney that he, quote, hadn't given up on getting xCloud on other consoles. Kind of interesting.
Yep.
There was an email thread where Tim Sweeney was emailing Tim Cook, the head honcho at Apple, talking to him about iOS policy. Tim Cook didn't reply. He just sent a forwarded email to his colleague saying, "Is this that guy that was at one of our rehearsals?"
That's great.
So basically, Tim Cook,
BM.
Tim Cook, who is this guying? Tim Sweeney was quite fun.
Oh, here's a question quickly about like 4D chess stuff. Do you think if you were one of these people, right? If you were like a CEO or you were head honcho, and you know that this sort of stuff sometimes comes out, like email chains, etc., would you be tempted to throw a couple of fakes in there just to throw people off, like in the course of a year
I think that might be illegal, dude. In the case of a lawsuit.
No, but at the time it's not a lawsuit. So let's say that SuperShow becomes a big company, right?
Yeah.
And we're like the head honchos, us three. And I email Jamie like something that he knows is bullshit because we had a drink the other day and I said it was bullshit. But I email him something and he sees it and goes like, "Oh, he's just being a weirdo." And then he sends something to you. And then later down the line they go, "Release the emails." And then they go, "Here's the email where," and it was bollocks. And we did it on purpose just to kind of fuck with. In the remote chance that anyone ever releases the emails, it's just
maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but yeah, I guess.
Tim Cook's had a beer with so did you say it was
Tim Sweeney?
Tim Sweeney
with Sweeney, and he's like, "Oh yeah, could you imagine if I just pretended I didn't know who you were?" And then he sets that off, and it becomes a news
maybe
thing from a lawsuit.
See that's another level. That's 5D chess, whatever that is, though.
He's on the phone to him going, "I'm sending the email now where I pretend that I don't know who you were and asking."
And they chuckle at each other.
One last thing I wanted to throw out to you guys is that there was an internal Fortnite presentation that sort of had their plans for the future that also got revealed. Included a lot of stuff in it, like plans for a party royale with a basketball minigame that would have included basketball skins for LeBron James and Zion Williamson, it would seem like.
Okay.
So I thought that'd be a good opportunity to play a bit of a skin or not skin game for you guys.
Are there 4 of them?
Come on now, behave
Okay.
yourself. So I'll throw out a name, and you tell me if they're actually being planned to either A, have a skin, or let's say B, being worked into an event. Because not all of these names are actually going to be in the game as skins, but would have had some kind of tie into Fortnite.
Okay. Bearing in mind that Neymar was one that was just released, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the scope that they're kind of going.
Oh, okay.
Well, this first name's nowhere near Neymar. I'm going to throw one out. Goku.
Goku. I would love to see Goku on there, but I would say no.
I'm going to say yes.
Chris is right. Goku not planned. Naruto.
I'm going to say yes, purely because like 2 anime back to back. What are the chances?
I'm going to say no.
Oh, Jonesy, you had a shocker. Chris is right again. Naruto was part of the plans.
Wow, that's mad.
Samus Aran.
No.
Yes.
Jonesy gets the point in this one. Samus
Samus
was apparently planned with the Master Chief and Kratos stuff, but for some reason didn't materialize. No, we're not at this stage sure why.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
Minecraft Steve.
I wonder if it was tied to something, like they were going to do a release of something and then they pushed it because they didn't release something else.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there was going to be a Metroid update that never. I don't know, who knows?
Possibly.
Minecraft.
It was going to get released in 2020.
Minecraft Steve.
Yes.
No.
Jonesy gets the point. He was not mentioned.
Wow.
Slightly different, slightly bit of a twist on things here. Katniss Everdeen.
Oh, yeah, I could totally see that happening in yeah.
No.
Point to Chris. She was planned.
So I'm 3-1, yeah?
I'm not actually
3-2.
counting. I'm not
3-2.
counting. You guys keep count. Yeah, I'll do this part.
All right.
Kill Bill's The Bride.
Yes.
I'm gonna say no.
It's a point to Jonesy.
Oh,
Kill Bill's The Bride was
Real.
planned. The Mask.
No. Come on. If you had said if you had said Son of Mask, I'd be like, yeah.
No, I can see it. Yeah.
Point to Chris. No,
Oh.
The Mask was made up.
Taking the lead again.
Snake Plissken.
Yes.
No.
Point to Chris.
I'm in trouble.
John McClane.
No.
Yes.
Point to Jonesy.
Oh.
John Rambo.
Yes.
No, purely because. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Point to Jonesy.
Oh,
Yes!
what?
5-5 because I've seen Rambo mentioned in Warzone potentially, and also obviously Rambo was in
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I was no to.
We're pivoting again now. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Just the man.
I would say yes.
I'd say yes as well.
Both correct. Both get a point.
Decent.
Ariana Grande.
So not necessarily just as a skin, because you said could be like an event.
Could be an event time. That was
I'm
the
gonna
same
say
with The
no.
Rock. Okay.
I'm gonna go yes.
Jonesy
All
gets
right,
the point.
I'll stick to no. Yeah.
7-6. I'm pulling it. I'm ahead.
Billie Eilish.
Yes.
With lingerie or without lingerie?
Oh my god. Here we go.
I'd prefer not to say.
Oh. Okay, let's say no, just because Chris went yes.
Jonesy gets the point again.
8-6.
And then the final name I've got here.
Oh, so I've
Lady-
lost it then. If there's one more. All right,
Sorry.
Fine. Ah,
That was.
God.
Oh,
That was
wait.
well played, sir. Well played.
I'll do two more.
Okay.
Okay, well then we know that one's gonna not be true at least.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. One's gonna be fake and one's gonna be real. So there's 2 points up for grabs.
Okay.
The 2 names are Bad Bunny. I think he's a South American thingy.
Yeah.
And
Artiste.
Lady Gaga. So I need you to both say that whether you think they are both real, both fake, one real, and or if it's one or the other, and then you need to specify. And there are
Bad Bunny, yes. Lady Gaga, no.
okay.
I'll go the inverse.
2 points for Chris, 0 for Jonesy.
Oh,
Lady Gaga is real. Bad Bunny, I
It's
made
a
up
draw.
because I see. Did you think I put you off by saying I think he's some South American kind of guy?
did.
But actually,
I knew you knew who Bad Bunny was. You
Yeah, I know who Bad Bunny is
scumbag.
because he was at WrestleMania. Shout out Bad
that's
Bunny.
why I thought you were doing a tricky thing where you're pretending you didn't know, but you did know who it was, and they were on the list. And then I thought you threw in Lady Gaga because why not?
No, Lady Gaga was in fact on the list of. I think the Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande things will be concerts.
But this is the fucking crazy thing about Fortnite, right? Like anything is viable. You said that, can't be John Rambo because John Rambo's in Mortal Kombat. Guess who else was in Mortal Kombat? Terminator. Guess who's in Fortnite? Terminator. Like,
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
and Predator.
I was thinking
Like-
more of the fact that I saw it in Rambo, Warzone mentioned recently, and I was thinking if it's
Yeah, those
probably not gonna
Warzone
be Fortnite.
things are bizarre. But then they did do a kind of. They did the Halloween thing, didn't they? With they had Jigsaw and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. So maybe.
Leatherface.
Anything. They're so smart in what they've done with Fortnite. Anything is possible. But yeah, well, fuck, that's it, guys. I mean, there's obviously a lot more that's going to be coming out of this. So keep your ears to the ground, as it were. And I think that's all we got time for today. I'm going to suggest a code word. Let me know what you
Okay.
guys think about this. Hashtag snooker gang.
Oof. Do you know what? I don't mind it for one simple reason. It's a point I forgot to make earlier. I think Americans have a hard time with the word snooker because they all want to call it snooker. So
Really?
so that ties into,
Yeah.
So Chris has got the code word, but also if you wouldn't mind, answer my question. How would you pronounce that word while you're leaving the code word?
Yes. And also,
Joe Rogan says snooker, I think.
There you go.
Someone says snooker
that's
before.
weird. And of course, the other question that we do want answered is who, Jamie, should be hosting next week's episode?
No,
Jamie?
don't answer that question.
And with
Don't
that, thank
answer
you
that question with the name with the word
Hold
Chris. The
Was
code
that what-
word is Chris. If you made it this far, just type Chris in the comments down below.
No.
We got one more question
Okay.
from I don't know how to phrase this politely. No, let me think of something.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, I know, I've got it.
Don't know what this is.
From a rating of how hot Billie Eilish looks in her lingerie shoot
You are such
on a scale of 9 to 10.
I see.
on a scale of 9 to 10. Wow, you are such a dog. You know that. Dirty
she
dog.
looks fantastic.
Maybe
Billie
never- she's
maybe
never
that's
done
the
the,
code.
What do I
Maybe
type
that's the
in?
code
I'm
word.
not going to type in Billie Eilish lingerie. What do I type in?
I posted it. Look at
It was
pictures
the
in Discord.
Vogue shoot.
It was the Vogue shoot.
Oh, you did post it.
But maybe that's the code word. Is Dirty Dog Jones.
She looks great. She doesn't ever do stuff like this. She always does because she always wears like the baggy stuff.
She still
and
looks like a child, man. I'm not about it.
that. She is only 19, so
Yeah.
you know but she's looking great. She's looking very.
We're getting to the
very
stage
good.
now where I can be almost a decade older than people, and I don't like how that feels. So prefer not to speak.
Wow. There we go.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Well, fellas, with that, let's just say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Yeah.